SF Barkast. I'm Jeff Cleary.
I am Andrew Louder.
And Andrew, where are we today?
We are at the Red Jack Saloon.
And this is not one of the Jack Saloons from back in the day. Do you remember a chain of like bars?
It was sort of the bar equivalent to like Famous Ray's Pizza in,
yes,
in
exactly.
New York. You just had Jack's such and such, Jack's Elixir, Jack's.
Right, can you name any more? Jack's Elixir was on 16th and Guerrero.
Jack's Dumpster Shit.
Close. Jack's Cable Car.
Ah, see, that's what I meant.
California and Polk.
Okay.
And there was a Jack's where it is now called, I don't know Jack's whatever it was, but it's now called John Lee Hooker's Boom 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 Room.
Oh, I remember that. Okay.
He initially was going to call it John Lee Hooker's Boom 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 Room. Right. But then he decided, you know what, brevity is the soul of wit.
Well,
so I'm going to go with the 3 booms.
A very unknown city law that you can only have like 3 booms.
You don't want to confuse people,
yeah.
Because you don't want to get them mixed up with those 2 booms.
Well, this is sort of going back to last week and the thrice fried potatoes versus frying them 4 times. Once you add the 4th boom,
it's overkill.
Yeah,
right,
it spirals out of control. It's sort of like the crater develops in the earth and everything is sucked into it.
You might as well call Colin James Hay and tell Men at Work to sing a song about it called Overkill.
Exactly.
Hit from the 80s.
There we go. We'll be back on hits from the 80s.
Exactly. Counting them down.
So where is this particular place?
This is
that
on
I'm sitting in?
Bay Street.
Okay.
And I don't know what the cross street is.
Is it
like Battery or? It's
one of those.
It's kind of because Battery's like down. Battery actually intersects with the Embarcadero. It's kind of like a weird spot because it's like. It's Fisherman's Wharf officially.
Yeah.
But it's like behind this huge complex, this really ugly complex where people used to live.
Right.
And you don't really kind of feel like it's Fisherman's Wharf. Like it's not like Pier 39.
Right.
And it's like when you think Fisherman's Wharf, you think like totally touristy. But this this place does not sort of have that vibe to it.
This place is more filled with tourists that sort of accidentally stumbled out of where they were supposed to be.
Yes.
So you get a lot of people sort of wandering around going, "Oh my God, did we just become a statistic?"
Well, it's like if you were like a tourist and you're like, you know what, I don't want to go to those tourist traps. I think I'll go to the Red Jack Saloon. And then you come over here.
The world-famous Red Jack Saloon that is in every Lonely Planet guide. That's the first thing you see.
It's like, look at me and all my local friends.
But this bar, so this bar is a basic sports bar. I mean, it's cool. It's got an outdoor back patio with a recreation of the Green Monster from Fenway.
I would go so far as to say it is a sports bar.
It is a sports bar, but it's a very strange sports bar in that, like I said, you've got like the Fenway sort of like home run wall behind us.
It's called the Green Monster,
right,
Andrew. I know you're the one who's in charge of like the research, and like you're still. I'm going to give you an F for effort.
All right,
on
I was
one.
afraid. I was afraid to search Green Monster on Wikipedia because
you don't want to be put on some list.
Well, exactly. Yeah, like he enjoys green monsters and forget it.
Yes, actually, I was looking at some of the reviews on Yelp, and this is apparently a Boston sports bar,
but also appeals to Washington Redskins.
Washington Redskins
for some weird reason,
which is weird.
Yeah,
I mean maybe these two like groups of people like commiserate together, or.
Well, it's probably. I would imagine the guy who started it is probably a big Boston guy, and like had all these dreams of like I'm going to start this bar, this like Yastrzemski themed bar in San Francisco.
I'm going to start a bar and pretend that I'm still in fucking Roxbury.
And so he had all these dreams, and then a bunch of Redskins fans came in and are basically like, "Yeah, do you want our business or not?" And he's like, "We're the best Redskins bar in the city."
No, you
hear?
No, you know what? A bunch of Redskins fans came in for like football games, and he goes, "Redskins, eh? That's just racist enough to come into my bar."
I admire your gumption in the way you've stuck to your horrible logo.
What's your policy on black baseball players?
I only like the Redskins or the Cleveland Indians. I'm not sure why.
Braves are okay too.
Yeah, depending on what their fans are doing.
But yeah, it's a weird bar because I was like looking at some of the Yelp reviews, and one of the predominant themes of the bad reviews. You know me, I only read 1-star and 4-star reviews.
Sure.
Because anything else in between there is a waste of my fucking time.
If you only kind of liked it, who cares?
Right, exactly. It's like,
don't post
this
anything.
place is kind of okay, but I'm going to write like 8 paragraphs about a mediocre bar. And also then I'm going to go back and kill myself.
Right. Well, everyone wants to know why I give this place a meh.
You really have to earn a mediocre review from someone like me. So one of the predominant themes in this bar is I guess the owner is kind of a jerk store. And this is
again according mostly to Yelp reviews
sure,
that are either 1 or 5 stars.
And you know what, this is Yelp, so take it with a grain of salt. But I will say one of the predominant complaints about this bar is that they don't accept international.
They
only take passports.
Right.
They can't. You can't have like a Canadian driver's license. You can't have like I don't know, like a German NAMBLA license or whatever that's out there.
Those are the predominant world forms of ID,
especially in those places. So, but I have to say this guy, whoever this dude is, and I have not met him, but he's got some big Fenway, big green monster balls to have a bar in Fisherman's Wharf and be like, you know what, I'm not going to cater to tourists.
Yeah, right. In fact, I'm going to be outwardly aggressive to them. like how dare you come to Fisherman's Wharf and and be all foreign.
Bad enough we got a Kenyan in the fucking White House. I gotta let these people into my bar. I'm trying to watch the Bruins game.
Why don't people appreciate my Tommy Bahama gear here?
Are you? We're gonna have a special guest on this show.
Of course.
Special is a big word.
Well, but guest is also a big word.
It's true. That's true. But I know he's within ear distance of me, so I want to give him a little heads up that you know
so
what
you won't be being honest, is what you're saying.
You know what this episode is?
What is it?
This is our government shutdown episode. Woo! I told you to have some sound effects ready.
You're right, you did. I'll work on those for the next segment.
Like the standard government shutdown sound effects.
What is that? Does that call for a slide whistle or more of a police car sound?
I think it may be like a toilet flushing.
Okay, perfect. I'll get to work on that.
So how is the government shutdown affecting you?
Oh gosh, well, I spend my days in public parks smoking pot, so this has really affected my life a lot.
I don't understand this whole thing where it's like, oh, the public parks are shut down. It's like just go. All it means is there's nobody at the fucking gate. Like you drive your dirt bike around the gate, and now you're in Yellowstone. But what's gonna happen? Oh my God! Now that the park rangers aren't there, the fucking buffalo in Yellowstone are gonna start rioting.
Well, I think that maybe they're worried about huge swarms of squatters coming in and just saying, okay, Old Faithful is now Andrew Faithful, and it's mine.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if we didn't have the rangers to stop people, this place would look like.
I'd love to give you your geyser back, but I need it to cook with.
Yellowstone would look like the Watts riots of 1968 without these fucking government workers.
Geez, you're really putting people to work on the Wikipedia, looking up old information.
I tell you, when I go to a comedy show, I like to make a mental note of what is the oldest non-historical comedy reference, and I think you're going to have to work hard to beat the Watts riots of 1968 today.
Well, I actually heard. I heard an old Johnny Carson bit. I can. So this is pretty old, but you have to play Ed McMahon in this case. So I'll be Johnny Carson.
You are correct, sir.
Well, not yet. I haven't said anything.
I'm sorry. Don't give me shit for being precocious.
Don't step on my Carson. But okay, so we're doing the guy with the envelopes and the Karnak, the Magnificent. So I'm reading a thing, and I say Christopher Walken.
Oh, okay, just Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken, yes.
What could that be? Open the envelope, Karnak.
And Christopher Walken, something you won't see in the Reeve household.
Oh! Take
So
that, dead,
that's my-
paralyzed celebrities.
Exactly. So that's my entrance into the oldest reference. But you're right. The Watts riots do beat it by probably a full decade.
Yeah, that's true. One of my favorite like Johnny Carson jokes, or it's actually not a Johnny Carson joke. It's a joke from The Simpsons where they're making fun of Johnny Carson.
Okay.
And like someone's watching the television in the 80s, and he goes, "Yes, Boy George today was arrested for scraping the barnacles off his dinghy." Oh,
Oh.
which that joke like doesn't even logically doesn't even work. Boy George's not a sailor.
It's reliant primarily on the funniness of the word dinghy.
Right, exactly, yeah.
It's just shoehorning that wherever it goes.
Speaking of which, you were like excited for the new Tom Hanks film?
You mean the sequel to Castaway, where he's like on a boat or whatever?
It's a trilogy, right? This is the second of the
Yeah, I
three
think so, yeah.
trilogies.
The third one's just all about the volleyball.
I heard that Barry Sobel was going to be in it. He was going to play a Somali pirate who's just looking for a place to crash.
I think you're thinking of the sequel to Washed Up with.
Oh, right. I think it was what was that cruise with
With Cuba Gooding Jr. and Horatio Sands.
Horatio Sands.
Was it called like Love Cruise or like Love Boat?
We'll have to look that up.
Gay Boat?
I mean, I know it wasn't Snow Dogs.
Are you sure?
Off the top of your head, Cuba Gooding Jr. films.
Well, Jerry Maguire. Obviously. Radio, good one. Boys in the Hood.
I watch Radio because I like
Elvis
Elvis Costello a lot.
Costello.
Boys in the Hood? Oh, yeah.
You just watched that twice. Does that count?
And you know what? Doesn't really work.
What else was he in? Was he in Glory? Was he in...
Was he in
that
Glory? Really?
Unstoppable Train movie?
No,
Was
he
he
wasn't
in,
in Runaway Train.
Was he in Black Oblivion with Will Smith in his...
He really
kid?
was like... He was basically being groomed as the the next Morgan Freeman. You know, like the black guy that helps like white people out with their problems. And somehow he like fucked that up.
You're right. Speaking of Morgan Freeman's fucking things up, I watched Oblivion the other day, and that was...
Was that bad?
It was pretty bad. Like it's
you know what?
The guy that did Tron Legacy, John Lipnicki or whatever. That's the kid from.
Don't make up
kid
names.
from Jerry Maguire directed the movie. It's like John something or other.
You have Jerry Maguire in the mind. You know what? You actually your review sitting here when you said Oblivion wasn't that good.
No.
That's actually better than I thought it would be.
Well,
which makes me want to see it now.
And Morgan Freeman's is in it, playing, if you can believe, like a really wise old black
has he moved on, and is he trying to help aliens with their problems?
Yeah. Oh, he's still teaching them how to golf, which is weird.
No, you're thinking of Bagger Vance.
Of course. Who isn't? I pretty much have two movies that I always reference to, and that's is it better or worse than Jerry Maguire and Bagger Vance? That's pretty much everything has to compare to those two shiny beacons.
That's your your meter. It's like is it either is it
no
thumbs up, thumbs down. I give it 2 Bagger Vances and maybe one
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
Right, Jerry Maguire on its side, squeeze right between.
I like to confuse people. So what do you think about this bar? Like so far? I mean,
so far so good.
This is the thing.
We're outside, which is always nice.
Right. It has a backyard.
Yes.
And
it's not
which
a
is
completely clusterfucked backyard either. I mean,
we're
there's nobody
here
on
in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Give it time. It'll get fucked up.
Do you promise?
Yeah. Well, I feel like this. I remember. I don't know what this bar used to be, but I know I had come
I've
here
been
before.
here before. Yeah, like because.
Do you think it's been here forever?
Well,
Research
my
man?
wife used to work down the street at the Bay Street Safeway.
Yes.
That was like her primary place of employment for years and years.
I remember that.
And I want to say that one time when I came out here to see, we went to whatever was here, and I don't think it was a sports bar at that time. But like this was 20 years ago, 28, well, maybe less than that, 16, 17 years ago.
Well, during the break, we'll look up how long it's been here.
Yeah, sure we will. or just get another beer.
Or we'll just get another beer.
Possibly both.
But I will say, like, it is nice to have a backyard here. I mean, they've got, like, picnic tables and a bunch of trash.
Yeah. Mops, brooms.
But it's in my head I have like a catalog of bars that have like a backyard, so you can get a little air. You know, although I don't. Oh yeah, there's no smoke. There's no smoke.
Scream to the people as you're getting in the
there
car or whatever.
There are a lot of bars in San Francisco where they have like sections, like little parts of the bar sectioned off, so you can have smoking. But guess what? Not here. Not in the backyard here. I would think it's hard to have a backyard because it's like a heavily like populated area.
Sure.
So like. It's kind of enclosed, but if you have like some like guy on shore leave out here, like screaming and whipping his dick out, like the fucking neighbors might be really like not they might be really happy, but they also might be really upset
towards naked shoremen, I guess.
Well, that it is. Every once in a while, it is Fleet Week down here.
Oh, I suppose, yeah. I noticed that there are some big giant cruise ships, like right over the buildings, like in front of this place. Like
the Pacific
it's oddly
Princess?
disconcerting.
I was riding my bike up here, and it was kind of sad because like all that America's Cup stuff is gone.
Oh, the melancholy that must have overcome you.
Exactly.
Oh, that rich sheik's boat is gone.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And with it, a piece of my heart.
I was thinking like, you know what? The America's Cup is over, but dressage season is right around the corner.
That's right. Rich dicks have a lot to do throughout the year, as it turns out. Well, all right. Let's take a break now.
All right, now let's take a break. Before it wasn't okay. Now we're good.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And
before I was jumping the gun like an idiot.
We're gonna come back with our very special guest after this.
Stay tuned.
And he was the one who picked this abortion. Bar.
Well. I'll steer clear of any and all mentions of that reference.
We'll hear what he has to say about it.
Please.
All right. This is SF Barkast. We'll be right back. And we are back at the Red Jack. Is it the Red Jack Saloon?
It is the Red Jack Saloon.
Saloon. Very good.
Yes.
So would you like to bring on...
So put that on your fuck it list, whatever.
Do you say the fuck it list? The Phuket list?
You've been to a saloon. Actually, you've been to many saloons.
I have. Would you like to introduce our guest?
I would love to.
Our very special guest.
This went so well the first time I had him on the show. I think it was our best introduction of anybody yet.
Go right ahead.
But,
you have the floor, sir.
All right. Here's Drew Harmon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Drew Harmon, this is your second time on the show.
Second time.
And
I've done.
You're not in the lead.
I'm not in the lead. Joe Gorman's in the lead.
Joe Gorman and Kevin Montgomery are ahead of you.
Okay.
So if you want to beat them, you have to fight them.
I also have to be very happily unemployed and goalless.
It's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that because we have a very special guest for you today. It's Mr. Joe Gorman. Bring him in here. He's not here.
I'm sure he's high and watching wrestling right now before he goes out and terrorizes people at some open mic.
I know who. I mean, like, I'm gonna say this, and a lot of people are gonna steam's gonna come out of their ears. But who gets high and watches wrestling?
Joe
I
Gorman.
know Joe Gorman does it, and a bunch of his friends do it.
A lot of people.
I'm not gonna name any more names.
Yeah. No, Joe Gorman is very openly pro wrestling, pro marijuana while watching wrestling. So we can out him as he appears to have no desire to ever have a real job ever again. So
does marijuana does that take away your ability to discern when things are fake and gay?
Whoa. We're getting off subject here.
I'm sorry. I meant performed and homosexual.
Let's keep it classy.
Please.
So, Drew, you picked this bar for us to come
bar.
here, and you said you wanted to come down here and explain all the intricacies of the government shutdown. Go ahead, Drew.
All right. Well, you see, back in 1973, this was all initiated. No.
Oh, I'm so bored already.
I know. It's like you're listening to my
commercial.
podcast.
No way. Oh, we should say, actually. I mean, one of the things that I neglected to mention in my my brief introduction was that my really dickish, terrible introduction was that Drew Harmon and Jim Cotter have their own podcast.
Yes.
Called Chucklepedia.
Yes.
What do you call people who listen to your podcast?
Chuckle pedophiles.
Or is it Chuckleheads?
They love it. Numbers have dropped for some reason. I'm not sure why people who get branded that seem to stop listening at
Chris
some point.
Hansen somehow is really interested in your podcast, though.
Right.
He wants
I think
us
it was
to come
when
over
you
and have a seat. I don't
when you
know.
invited all your listeners to register to become
Yes.
Registered.
Get
Shut
on
become
an
official
mailing
pedophiles.
list and an official government list. Yeah, they seem to have an issue with that.
Please
But-
go door to door and tell your neighbors that you listen to our podcast.
But if you're a listener of our podcast, you should listen to Drew's podcast because you guys have more of a like a historical
Yeah.
angle to it.
Yeah, we hate listeners, so we try to make people who do listen learn. It's working out great.
I feel like Drew, you're angling for like an NPR slot. you know,
So it's
Like-
sort of like it's for
Yeah.
people that don't want to commit to like an audiobook.
yes.
You know, they don't want to be that person.
Yeah, I've got 55 minutes. I want to learn a little something, and we do like news segments for the first and third section of it, and the middle section we do something historical, like some sort of weird historical oddity story, something like that. Like we
Like
recently.
sneaking kale into brownies.
Yeah. Our last episode, we talked about elephant executions, which oddly enough have happened twice in American history within the last 120 years. And
Now,
including a historical figure that most people, Thomas Edison, was actually involved with one of those elephant executions. So you
Wait,
think
let me
that-
guess. Was it electrocution?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Up
Good
high.
guess. Hey, all right,
Well,
all right.
Yeah, and it was his. He used the opportunity to kill a rabid elephant as a way to prove that Tesla's AC current was way more unstable than his, because oddly enough, jacking an elephant into an AC into electrocution and putting 1,000 volts through them kills them.
Okay,
Or
Drew,
however
So
many
did he
volts it was.
basically like hook the electrodes up to the elephant and then be like, "This is on you, Tesla"?
Yeah.
Like, he fried the elephant. Like,
Now, Drew, like you tried to slip this by me, and you figured like no one's gonna bring it up. But did you just say a rabid elephant?
It was the
How does
elephant.
an elephant get rabid?
The elephant.
that can
it was-
happen, right?
Well, when you keep prodding an elephant and you keep saying, "Well, you have to roll this ball and you have to
Oh, you
jump
mean
around,"
like
it was like a circus elephant
Right.
that had killed its trainer. And
so it was a pissed off elephant.
Yeah, in that case,
I feel like those elephants are not sick. They're
I-
just like more self-aware than everybody else. It's like, guess what? I don't want to fucking stand on my head.
Yeah.
I think maybe what I'd like to do is stomp on your head.
Yeah, and I agree with you. In both cases of elephant execution were instances of circus elephants who were mistreated by poorly trained trainers.
Right.
Prodding them, and in the case of the one that Edison electrocuted, they had an old alcoholic gypsy man who was supposed to be the elephant's trainer, and he kept jabbing him. And so, oddly enough, eventually the elephant's like, "Hey, I'm 3,000 pounds. To hell with this!" and swatted the guy down. And
Yeah,
stomped,
exactly.
Stomped on his head.
It's very easy. I mean, like, sure, the guy may have abused elephants and been a gypsy, but to call him an alcoholic, I think is really out of bounds.
Are you calling the guy an alcoholic or the elephant?
No, the elephant was
Well,
a social drinker.
Yeah. To be fair, the elephant would overdo it on occasion.
Right.
He liked his brown liquor, but for the most part, he was sober at that.
He had some depression issues.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't even want to like think about this too much, but do you know how much, like, do you know how hard it is to kill an elephant with a
Yeah.
gun? Like, how much like voltage you had to put
It's a
into
lot.
like a fucking elephant to kill him? Like the fucking like lights in the city must have been dimming because
Yeah.
like they're
See,
Well, in the
but that's the thing. Your wonder of that is exactly what fed this whole sick thing. Where it's like, Thomas Edison was basically like, "I want to find out exactly how much for
Andrew,
you."
my point is not that like it's something we should wonder about. It's like I'm saying that like maybe we should not be doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just throwing this out there on the
Oh,
wall.
sure, just stand in the way of science.
the primary story on the last podcast was also about an elephant hanging. It wasn't an
Okay,
elephant.
now I know
electrocution,
you're
it was
full
a
of
hanging.
shit.
No,
I didn't know that your podcast had like, half truth and half full of shit.
No,
'Cause
this
how
is
do you,
true. There are pictures of the elephant hanging. They had to get like the kind of thing they
Did
would
they put
use
a
to build
cowboy hat
tower.
on him? Like-
No, they did not.
I think, like,
They had to hang him with hardcore chains.
Yeah, I can
and
imagine.
wrapped around the neck. The first attempt failed, and the elephant actually broke one of its legs when it fell, and then they had to get an even bigger.
Let me
chain.
guess.
And
the
they're like,
fucking
"Oh my God,
rope
this elephant-"
broke on a fucking like 12-ton
Yeah.
elephant.
Well, and it wasn't. They didn't have a platform or something where then they let go. They just had to. They hooked it up and then started to lift the elephant up, and of course the elephant got a few feet off the air and the chain snapped. And then it
Dude,
snapped. But you can hear all about these
So
kind
at
of
that
fun
point,
things
though,
on
I mean, like once
Chucklepedia.
you've broken the elephant's leg, then it's just a mercy killing. You're just
Really,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's
So
like
that's
one
the
of those
fun
things.
stuff we talk about on Chucklepedia.
So every episode is about elephant murder
Yeah,
at
it's
this
just
point.
rampant animal cruelty. That's what we're all about.
Hey, you gotta find your niche.
Yeah.
I think about this a lot, like what like animals would say if they could talk. I've got a Doolittle complex here. But like, I think if you're wrapping a noose around an elephant's neck, I think I know what he's saying. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Really? You want to like?
I'm like endangering myself anyway. Like, and you guys are gonna like
the good,
me?
the bad, the ugly. This is how I'm gonna go out."
Wee wee. Yeah. So that's one of those fun little factoids. But back to this bar.
Yes, let's get back to this
right.
bar because Drew, you picked this bar.
I did pick this bar
because
this bar is the closest good bar from where I first lived here in San Francisco. Actually, just around the corner in the giant, disgusting, concrete box across the street.
Right.
And so when my wife and I first moved here, we had never been to San Francisco before. We literally our first time in San Francisco is as we're driving across the Bay Bridge with our car filled with cats and garbage.
Cat car, by the way.
Yeah. So we move into the building across the street, and then of course there's North Beach is not very far. It's a walk up the hill, but we found the Red Jack. And it was, there's crappy bars over by Fisherman's Wharf, but this became a sweet respite from Fisherman's Wharf and living close to it.
I like their policy of not allowing Euros without their passports.
I think that one is relatively new. I mean, and we know the owners. Yeah, we know Mark and Lori, the owners. Mark is actually, speaking of Joe Gorman, this place is the first place where I've ever had the owner of a bar.
Let's not say things you can't take back.
Yeah.
Again with Joe Gorman, this guy.
Well, Joe Gorman loves to bring up that there was a night when I tried to have him fuck my wife.
Okay.
And that is not the
Oh,
case.
good times.
Yeah. What happened was it was New Year's Eve, and Joe, we had started the evening at some show that both Joe and I were on. Joe had a girlfriend that he wasn't really that into, and apparently he broke up with her right after the show because he said, "I want to hang out with the Harmons." Then Joe proceeded to get very drunk, and we found our way here, very close to our home. We walk in, and Mark, one of the owners, actually looked at his bartender on New Year's Eve and said, "This guy drinks for free all night." It was one of the that's like the
Wait,
first.
he just looked at Joe and said, "This
No,
guy."
he said
for...
no. He pointed at me.
Oh, you. Oh,
No.
okay, yeah.
Joe was too far gone. Joe got a water at that
So
point.
wait, why did you get like the free pass?
Because I'd been coming here enough.
Oh, okay, because you're a regular.
Yeah.
Okay.
By that point, we'd attained regular status because they open at noon, or at least they used to. And so when I was working for the TV, 1 o'clock. But if they happened to be here and they were, getting set up, they'd let us in because we were getting out of the TV station.
It's not like it's illegal for them to let you in.
No.
It's like,
and so a lot of afternoons started here, a lot of nights ended here. And it became, it's a block away from where we used to live, so it became like our favorite spot.
I totally understand like that. When you're living in a neighborhood where like you're surrounded by bars you don't want to go to, when you find one, it's like this beautiful oasis.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that problem because in my neighborhood there's like 12 bars in a 1 block radius.
Yeah.
If there's one I don't like, I just go to the
now,
next one.
did you come here first and scout out apartments, or did you get this like apartment sort of like
we
sight
got
unseen?
We got it sight unseen. We had no idea. We sent them a security deposit through the mail. We showed up and filled out our paperwork, and they handed us the keys, and that was the first time we saw the apartment. That was the first time we saw the city. That was the first time we did anything in San Francisco.
Well,
So when did you stop crying?
Like 3 minutes ago.
About a couple hours ago, I finally got out of the fetal position.
Excellent.
Well, actually, that's kind of interesting to me. So the two of you moved here, and you hadn't looked at the apartment, but when you were moving, you were like, we want to have something all ready to go.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, I moved here when I was 22, 23, and I was, like, living in a car. But, like, that's what you do. I guess, you know what? I understand. It's like you're married.
We're married.
And like you don't like, hey, honey, let's go to like California and live in a car for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then look for apartments. I guess not. I was with my friend John Freitas, and he was just like, I'll live in the car for a month if that's what it takes.
No,
not everyone has the Jack Kerouac fucking on the road mentality that you have as far as moving.
Yeah. No, my wife and I, we got married, and then it was a few months later that we both got we got offered jobs out here.
Right.
We sold or gave away almost all of our possessions. We packed what we could into one car. We sold the other car, and we somehow, I think my wife is responsible for most of the work in finding the apartment.
Right.
And then we moved out here, and so the Red Jack just became our little close. We'd be sitting at home after a stressful day of TV news or whatever the hell, and it was let's go to the Red Jack.
Well, you know what?
With a dream of a podcast about hurting elephants in your head.
Let me just be the first to say it. You guys made it. Okay, I'm sure when you guys were moving out here, you were like, are we going to do this, or is it going to be a big mistake? Yeah. But you made it. You're like Mary Tyler Moore. You've made it after all.
What's this
all
Godfather blessing
you're
giving?
They've all been thrown in the air. And of course, we moved to a much nicer neighborhood a few years ago. But this is still a place when you guys wanted to have me back. This is where I wanted to come.
So you moved from the epicenter of like awful tourists, basically to the epicenter of awful people.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna tease that.
No, not the marina.
Oh, we are. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I didn't move to the marina. No.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
We're gonna tease that, and we'll come back after this break.
Excellent.
All right. This is SF Barkast.
If the lakes took the place of the sea, if the cars drove themselves way to me, opposite to the trains moving in, rivers run interstate Michigan.
And we are back at the Red Jack Saloon.
The Red Jack.
Red Jack.
Government shutdown.
Drew, since you know more about this bar than I do you know what Red Jack is a reference to?
I have no idea.
Is the bar owner named Jack or anything? Or like,
no. It's the owners are named Mark and Lori. I've always presumed the Red Jack is in reference to what comes out of me 8 hours after I'm done drinking at the Red Jack.
Drink a lot of Killian's Red, sure.
Killian's Red, whiskey, all that kind of good stuff. And
you've had a lot of Jack in the Box the night before.
Yeah,
combined with a kick to the stomach.
Yeah, the combination of this place, like when my wife and I moved out to San Francisco, we were already Midwest chubby, which in the Midwest is skinny.
Right.
But then as we're moving out here, of course, we're starting to think we're going to become yoga fanatics, and we're going to be like vegans.
You were probably like, we don't even want to be yoga fanatics, but we're moving to California, and it's the law.
Right. They'll insist.
When we go to the DMV to get our new driver's license, they're like, okay, you're required by law to go to yoga at least 5 times a week.
Right.
But we get out here, and of course, marijuana at that point was pretty much legal. We found out about super burritos, which we'd never had before, and then In-N-Out Burger is not too far.
Wait, and you're saying these things all contributed to a unhealthy lifestyle? Is what you're saying?
Oddly enough, and then the Red Jack is just around the corner, and so it just kind of became, we thought, we're going to be both losing 50 pounds within the first year, and that did not happen whatsoever.
That's just what happens in California.
Yeah.
That turned into, we're going to be lucky to get through our door in a year.
Yeah. Let's get some maternity pants for both of us.
Speaking of the In-N-Out Burger, let's talk about your other endeavor.
Oh, yes.
Not only are you a superstar comedian
and
superstar podcaster, and I believe
both of those are overly generous.
I believe insurance adjuster, a superstar insurance adjuster.
I'll take it. That's close
as
enough.
much stardom as you can get.
But you also have a very popular blog called the Burger Blog, the San Francisco
Burger Blog. Yeah, it's not as popular as it used to be because we've done a grand total of 2 entries in a year. It used to be popular. At one
it's
point,
all about politics, right?
It's about whose dick you're sucking in the burger world. No, you're
in the right place.
When I was still working at the TV station.
By the way, the TV station is Kron.
Kron 4. I was working on the morning crew, and we had a great group of people that we all really liked to hang out together. And people were mostly single. We would go out after work, which was about 10:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock, and we would. At that point, we would drink, and then someone said, "Well, this seems dangerous. Maybe we should eat." So we started.
So there's one guy who's the smart guy.
Yeah.
In the crowd.
So we started eating, and it always seemed to be burgers. And then someone said, "Well, we should try all the burgers in San Francisco." And then I said, "Let's do a blog about it." And it just turned into the San Francisco Burger Blog.
Blog? What's that?
Yeah.
I was just saying we should all kill ourselves. But now you're attaching burgers onto it.
Don't kill yourself just yet. Let's go have a burger blog.
Have you heard about reverse mortgages? It's turned into an AARP ad real fast. So we started doing it, and we were doing it about every 2 weeks. That we would go out and do a review. I would write the reviews, and it did get moderately popular. We did a promotion with General Motors where they gave us a bunch of new cars.
See, that was great. That came out of nowhere to me. I remember Drew's got this burger blog, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, they're giving us a car. Yeah. It's like, holy shit, how did this happen?
I want to know, how is General Motors, we want to get on board with this fucking burger blog, as soon as possible.
Well, and oddly enough, I think I got the first email about that when we were here at the Red Jack. Oddly enough, and I got an email because I've got contact us on the blog's homepage. And so someone from General Motors that does PR, they were trying to come up with a way that, like, here's our new fancy cars, and we're going to we want to have some bloggers, and we want to have some sort of goal. So they asked us to come up with 3 locations in the city that we were going to, and start at one end of the city and go to the other. And so we started at now I'm drawing a blank thanks to the alcohol. But we went over, not at Fisherman's Wharf, but we went over to Reds.
Oh, okay.
We started at Reds and we went around, and they gave us new cars and we got to drive around. Then they let us keep the cars for a little while.
Did you have
was there thinking that that you would drive by in the car and people would go, oh my God, it's the burger bloggers? Like, what kind of car are they driving? I need to buy one of those.
I think they may have thought we were more popular than we are. SF Weekly did come with us on that, although they had more criticism about my choices because I'm the one who picked all the spots. But we did that, and then I think it was Value Magazine named us the number 6 burger blog on the web. They also said we were
Value Magazine.
I know everyone reads that, so clearly a prestigious.
Did you get the
award
there? Prestigious right in the fucking name Value?
Yeah, but they also said we were very weird. And which I take pride in.
Fuck those assholes.
Well, and
they said you're not writing marketing speech at all.
Because you were sponsored by Ford. Did you have to say stuff like, "This burger is really juicy, but not as juicy as the new Ford Escort"?
I did have to sell the sizzle a couple of times because they brought a camera guy and they put together a 9-minute promotional video. So there are a few times they didn't really ask us to do it, but I was more than happy to kiss ass for a free car.
Drew is in the bathroom throwing up his burger. This throw-up break brought to you by the Chevy Caprice.
Exactly.
The Camaro, fast as your digestive system. Yeah.
2 weeks before, Drew's was like, you know what? I'm never gonna sell out. Ford calls. He's just like, the new Ford Taurus is puts it over the edge.
This Ford Fiat really works for me. I will drive this anywhere. Thanks, Ford.
Please listen to this 45-minute Chevy ad before our podcast begins.
No, I never made. As soon as they emailed me, I was I didn't consider that at all. I said, "Oh, you want to buy? I'm selling. Go right ahead." I'm more than happy.
Someone made a mistake. I'll take advantage of it. Thank you.
That's like the guys from South Park when their first movie came out. Like they were having a promotional half hour on Comedy Central. And they were interviewing them, and Trey Parker was saying, "Oh, somebody came up to me and said you guys are selling out." And he was like, "Well, yeah, that was the plan the whole time." It's like we're not like indie rockers.
Yeah.
We were willing to sell out a long time ago, but nobody was buying.
Yeah, if somebody would come at me with shoe endorsements or they want me to endorse, AARP reverse mortgages.
Oh my God!
Don't give a shit. I'll do it.
Swastika flags.
Yeah. If there's any dental floss company out there that wants to sponsor SF Barkast, I'm your man.
Yeah. Yeah, that was never a consideration for me whatsoever. So GM called, I answered, and we did that, and so it was relatively popular. But then I got laid off from the TV station because I'm not an attractive 22-year-old woman.
You know what? To do a little bit of research for this today, I watched Kron for the first time in months, and. I know you kind of said that as a joke, but you're not. They have they have a new, very attractive young 22-year-old person who's probably gonna have her heartbroken about television, just like yours was.
Yeah, yeah. I got my ass kicked a little bit, but after I left, it became hard to schedule everybody because as things will happen. People went to go to other TV stations. They moved to other cities. So after a couple of years of trying to keep it together with the old crew, I've opened it up. We've always had lots of other people who have wanted to do reviews with us, and so I kind of just issued the criteria. So we're going to start doing reviews with just my wife and I, and then other people.
So wait a minute, are you saying that you're opening up the SF Burger blog to other mouths?
Yes.
Really?
It's going to be more than just the old crew. My wife and I will still be the primary two, and then the old crew will always be the crew. I do hope that we can still do one review a year.
The old school, sure, why not?
We do one review a year with everybody, but it's really hard to schedule everybody, and so this way we can kind of get other people who want to participate. And
this way Joe Gorman gets to bring his his.
Joe Gorman is forbidden. So
Okay.
but I do already have a
Is
couple.
he forbidden from like your burger blog or everything else?
Unfortunately, every other aspect of my life, he has too much access. So the burger blog, I'm keeping pure.
The one,
Yeah.
it's the one thing that's Gorman hands off.
Yeah, I'm keeping that one pure.
Can I make it like a? I would like to admit something to you that I initially, when I heard on your blog, I'm sorry, on your podcast, I was like, what the fuck is Drew talking about? When you were talking about how you buy toilet paper nowadays.
Wait, I don't think I've heard this.
Online.
Online, okay. So you were talking about how you do it online because you don't have to like go to like the.
You don't have to carry it around, schlep it around the city because most of the time we were getting our toilet paper from Target because we live close to we live walking distance to Target. But then you get it at Target, you can't really put it into a bag because you need a whole bag for the toilet paper.
Carry it on top of your head or something.
Or you're gonna get it like a
Rwandan woman or something.
Yeah, or you're gonna get a 4-pack. And then you're just gonna have to go get more toilet paper and
like later that night.
Yeah. So my wife one day she was ordering on Amazon and then she's like, "Oh, toilet paper. They've got like a 16-pack," and she ordered it. It was the greatest thing ever because then they just deliver it in a box.
I don't even
and you
have to
just
get up
it.
off of the toilet.
Yeah.
So I heard you talk about this on your podcast in the very same way that a lot of people are listening to me talk about this on my podcast, who are also probably saying that's ridiculous. But guess what? I heeded your advice, and I'm never buying toilet paper any other way now. Like I initially I was like, Drew is really by the the wisdom that he imparts to us is a little weird. But guess what? Now I do it all the time.
Exactly, because if you get it from like Target downtown, then they put that holding strap, like that tape on it. So then you have to carry it, but you're carrying your toilet paper through the city along with a bag of food, and then it's like, oh, look at that guy. He's gonna go eat that food and take a big shit.
Oh my god!
Exactly.
I don't want to like big step the both of you, but like I just drive to the store and get it with a car like a fucking normal person.
Well,
whoa, you goddamn Philistine! Good God, Cave! I didn't know this was the Caveman podcast. But this is
and thanks to the room of the new
God.
Chevrolet Caprice, I am able to get 100 rolls of toilet paper in at a time.
Have you ever done the old David Letterman joke? And this will go back to that your wife used to work at
Bay Street Safeway.
The Safeway, where it's like back in the day when you were buying a bunch of groceries, you would hold the toilet paper at the end, and when they're ringing up all the groceries, and before the girl like rings up the toilet paper, you go, wait, hold on a second. Do you think this is enough toilet paper for all this food? Bam.
And bam, the checker goes, very funny. Yeah.
And that's I've never heard that one before, sir. Thank you very much.
It's a glorious time when 18 hours earlier you're ordering toilet paper, and then your buzzer at the front door rings, and it's some Asian postal worker. And I have a package for you, and that's my toilet paper.
You have more than a package.
Yeah, you have dreams.
You're about 20 minutes too late, but I'll accept it. I had Indian last night.
Then when you sit back and think about all of the people that had to be involved to get your toilet paper to your house.
Yeah.
Like the sorting people at the UPS place,
the massive amount of packing material that goes into it.
The artisans that made it to begin with.
As long as I live in this city, I'm never buying toilet paper at a store ever again. I'm ordering it on Amazon.
Take that, bodegas and
that's right.
Small stores.
They're for ice cream and eggs. Everything else.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, you ready to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
I think we've covered all the toilet paper.
I think we got enough of that in.
Well, at the beginning, I'll say from 30 minutes to 42 minutes is toilet paper talk. So skip right to that if you like.
Have some music for toilet paper talk.
Toilet paper talk during the go-go government shutdown.
What are you gonna do when you can't go to a fucking national park?
Exactly. I use national parks as toilet paper all this time. What do I do?
All right, this is SF Barkast. We'll be back. All right, and we are back at the Red Jack.
The Red Jack
Saloon in Fisherman's Wharf.
Indeed, next to the Green Monster.
Next to the Green Monster, they do have a Bruins game on, so that means it is a real Boston bar.
So do you think that when there's a Redskins game and a Patriots game going on at the same time,
they have more than one.
What do they do? Hot shot?
I'm sure that they're very political about it, and they split it up.
They say, turn that off.
Do you like apples?
Turn off Brady.
How do you like those apples? All right, so I wanted to bring up one thing that happened yesterday. Have you guys heard of the Silk Road shutdown? Is it Silk Road?
Is this related to the government shutdown?
No, it's not. It is supposedly there was this website where you could buy drugs. And everything.
Bum, bum, bum.
This is like the I-Team investigates.
Right.
Dun, 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 dun. And you know,
the worst investigators in the world,
because
6 days after the fact.
Who care about drugs.
Well, I mean,
will this affect how I get my drugs?
I'm actually kind of pissed off that I'm finding out about this now. That there was this whole website where you could go on and you could buy any type of drug.
Yeah.
And supposedly they were doing over $1 billion worth of business.
Wow.
And the guy who's running it, out of his San Francisco apartment, by the way, got.
So which one of our friends is this?
Well, this is the thing. It's I should have looked it up, how much, but I know that they made something like $68 million worth of profit.
Right.
So they were doing over $1 billion worth of I don't know, a commerce, you would say.
Yeah. Well, people like drugs, as it turns out.
Yeah.
As it turns out,
and they're willing to pay for them.
And I guess he got caught because basically you're you know what, I'm going to start my own empire. I'm going to sell drugs online.
Right. There's no way this couldn't go well.
Some guy's just that. This is probably not going to go too well. Because all it would take is one dude to be you call that an eighth? That that looks
either
more
that
like
or
a 16th to me.
Or either that, or I would be much more worried about the guy that's you mean you're selling to my entire market here? I think usually we just kill people that do that.
No, it's all online.
Well,
But
and
still.
the thing about having to purchase your drugs online is that it takes some degree of planning, where I feel like most people who are really into their drugs are not planning 3 to 5 business days ahead of time. They kind of want their drugs right now.
Oh my God, I'll be jonesing so hard in 4 or 5 business days.
It's like a 3-day waiting period for a gun.
Yeah.
You're I'm mad now. Let's
Yeah.
get this over with, man.
Yeah, I'm drunk and just broken up with now. I need my cocaine immediately.
Is there something I can download that will last me for the 3 or 4 days I have to wait?
Well, one of the things I loved about this story is that the guy got arrested in Glen Park. So I think he was living in Glen Park.
I think it was Pack, our buddy. I think it was
It was
Pack,
probably
our
not
buddy
Pac.
from the Glen Park Saloon.
But somebody interviewed his roommate. This guy was living in a San Francisco, they were doing over $1 billion worth of business.
Right.
And he had roommates in Glen Park.
The rental market right now
Right.
is so
And
bad.
supposedly they were interviewing his roommate, and the roommate was just well, we knew he worked online, we just didn't know what he did.
So wait, did he have some sort of suppliers that was outside of the? Because obviously you can't grow $1 billion of drugs in an apartment.
I did talk to the basically what he was he was this sort of middleman, where it's
Okay.
he would you
Like
would say
an E-Trade of
I
drugs.
want this, and he would send you to this, but
Right.
they get a cut of it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I talked to somebody today about it.
So he's basically an online trader
How might I start this?
Right, exactly. But the thing is, how do you hide that from somebody from your roommate?
Yeah, it's not.
I'm sure they had their suspicions.
Okay, so here's the other thing.
His gold car and his opulent fur coats.
the giant "The world is yours" sign over his bed. Seems like that would have been an indicator.
He had this huge tacky fountain.
Supposedly, the name of his company was Dread Pirate Roberts.
Oh, from The Princess Bride.
Right, exactly. So,
Maybe.
because you're I'm sure he was I need to pick a name that's going to appeal to people.
I want people to know I'm a pirate.
I want
but I don't
people-
want it to be obvious, Dread Pirate Roberts.
I'm really trying to, plug into that audience that's really into The Princess Bride and PCP.
So Joe Gorman and his friends.
And the other last thing I'll say about the whole Silk Road thing is that I talked to this guy today, and he said that it was actually run a very legitimate website, in that there were customer reviews as well.
So
Just
like,
let your comedian minds go crazy on that.
he didn't accept my my Netherlands ID. He insisted I get my passport for my drugs.
I'm a guy in from out of town. All I want to do is buy some angel dust and ketamine, and he's a fucking jerk.
I don't want to have to like meet up with somebody.
Wouldn't take my Amex. Down vote.
What do you mean you don't take Discover?
Oh my goodness! See, I'm still catching up to the idea of like you can go into a dispensary and get hash now, and like I didn't know about this. Like
You have a card, right?
I do, but like, and I
Drew,
just
do
started.
you have a card?
I do not. No.
I just started like perusing around, like seeing everything that's out there now, and like there's full on like like with the vape pens and everything like that,
What
like
are vape pens?
or a vape pen. So it looks like a pen, and basically it's a battery that plugs into a USB port, and then like
You get the drugs from the USB port?
Yeah. And then you open it up and inject the heroin directly.
well,
in
you just
your vein.
you like
Yeah.
wipe like hash wax or whatever like that, like on the edge of it, and it's basically just like a button and a like a grill, like a burning like titanium coil or something, and it just fries the stuff, and then you just like suck it in your mouth, and like and it's tiny, it's ridiculous.
What an age to be alive.
I know
Yeah.
this is crazy, and like I'm just sitting here like really like I thought all of my anxiety like necessary like medication. I thought it was just like your standard run of the mill 50 different kinds of pot.
Yeah. Finally, I can smoke hash at the opera and then
Yeah, exactly. It is.
in the bathroom stall.
I mean, like they've literally made it like the most
freedom.
portable. Like they
sick
might as well have them installed in cars. Like
I'm sick of being treated like a second-class citizen just because I want to like smoke hash at the opera.
Yeah.
like, hey, welcome to the 21st century, assholes. Like,
I enjoy Wagner's The Ring Cycle, but I also enjoy being totally baked out of my gourd.
exactly.
envision
I want to
a day-
hear that shit echo.
I envision a day where I can go to the symphony and do a gravity bong.
Where it's not even an option. Like it just comes with the ticket.
Yeah, they just pass it around.
Right.
You should know a lot about drugs because you live in a very nice neighborhood.
I live in the most beautiful neighborhood in all of San Francisco, yes.
If there's any tourists out there listening, listen up. Drew Harmon, tell them about your neighborhood.
Well, we should have said. I'm sorry. I just want to get this out of the way really quick. But like, we should have mentioned that one of the rules and bylines that for you coming back on the show was that the previous episode that you were on, the Bigfoot Lodge, sadly has closed.
Closed down, yeah. It was
Not
sad to
fair.
see it go.
And that's sort of close to your current
Yeah,
neighborhood,
it's down Polk Street, not far from where we live, and they apparently had some financial issues, which seems to be rampant around San Francisco. Although they have a location in LA that seems to be doing great, but yeah. So I live on.
It's a lot of overhead with those big giant Bigfoots.
Yeah,
and stuff.
when you want to.
Those Bigfoot statues, they take a lot to upkeep.
There's a lot of
upkeep
property
on
tax. Yeah, when they get assessed, they're like, that Bigfoot statue is going to cost you.
Yeah, exactly.
But we now live. Well, I guess a real estate agent would call it the tender knob. I just call it the tenderloin. We're crack adjacent is really the best way to describe it. We're at least a block away from easy access to crack. In the tenderloin, but we're also really
I'm sure
close
that changes from day to day,
Yeah.
depending on how the wind's doing and
Well,
everything.
and there are times when I will have used our car and to get groceries, and we'll park it overnight on the street, and I'll move it, and the car is parked about 3 blocks away, deeper in the Tenderloin, and so
okay.
I'll go move it at say 6 a.m. And as I'm coming back, then suddenly like, hey, you need some crack, need some coke? As I see a disheveled white guy who clearly just woke up, and they're like, he's down here for something, and they just assume he wants drugs. So yeah, our block is actually starting to. It's one of those blocks that's starting to gentrify. We've got a new place right across the street from our building that is like high-end bar food, and it's really nice. There was that sports bar place right at the corner of Geary.
We went there, didn't we? No, no, we went to the new sports bar on Powell and Post.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
This one was at Geary.
Golden
and,
Gate.
That one's close to Union Square, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's more into the.
Yeah, this was at Geary and Leavenworth, and this place it was a disheveled pit, and I never went in there on my worst day, and
Right.
even in the the throes of unemployment, when I was at one point willing to go into any
Right.
terrible location if they had cheap alcohol available, I would not go in there. So someone bought that up. They're renovating that.
Right.
Yeah, we're just down the street from let's see the what is the there's a bar we met there not too long ago.
Oh yes, the high, not the
High Tide.
High
Yeah, the
Tide.
High Tide, there we go.
Yeah, and Geary Bar is not far from there. There's lots of divey bars over there, which we enjoy. But the neighbor, it's getting nicer on our block. But it's still, if you go out for ice cream and eggs at 8 p.m., you're going to get asked for money 3 times on the way from our
Ice cream and
apartment to the
eggs.
convenience store.
Ice cream and eggs is a tenderloin delicacy.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sure it is.
And before we take a break, I just want to say, we're doing a lot of shit talking about drugs, but I know, I'm the one.
No,
I am on the
I was
other
talking from a point of majesty and wonder. I was,
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, you can smoke hash in any public place you want in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's like
essentially.
being in Amsterdam.
But it's even, it's even better. And going back to when we were talking about smoking and stuff like that outside, the whole sort of vapor cigarette thing is pretty much just going to render smoking sections obsolete anyway. You'll sort of, I think it looks terrible and looks stupid.
It does look
but,
stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want nicotine,
Ivan
you'll be able to
Hernandez-
get it without a special section where you stick up the place.
Yeah, as Ivan Hernandez said, if you're smoking one of those vapor cigarettes, you look like a douchebag from the future.
I still enjoy a cigarette now and again, and I still go old school because why? Yeah, I don't need to get electronics and a USB drive involved.
Well, the whole reason,
And
the
the
whole
I do
reason
not
to
consort
smoke.
with the
Yeah.
robot
And the 3
race.
cigarettes I'm going to smoke
Right.
on a
The whole
on a
reason
night
to
of
smoke is to
drinking.
look cool anyway, and
That's right.
the vape cigarette makes you look like an
No,
idiot.
yeah, you look like a gay wizard smoking your silver pen of
With
joy.
your little Harry Potter wand.
The last thing I want to say about drugs, though, is that I just want to say that,
You're really adamant about this.
Drugs are
Look,
not-
I don't want you shit talking drugs, everybody. They're great.
they're not always bad, okay? I feel like people always tell that story where it's oh, my friend, he or she took drugs and then lost their mind and jumped out a window.
Oh my
Where it's
God,
like-
who does this happen to?
Yeah, well,
Or
but-
someone would, like Nancy Reagan would say, if you smoke crack once, you're going to get addicted. I smoked crack dozens of times, even
And-
hours
and you're-
ago.
and you're still waiting.
Yeah, I'm
So-
still not addicted. I mean, as soon as we're done with this segment, I'm going to go smoke more crack. But that's my choice. That is totally my
Exactly.
choice. It's not
Exactly.
something I have to do.
Well, we'll make sure and note this time down so you can put it on any job interview reels or anything like that.
But my-
Check it out.
My take with if you're doing drugs is that basically it allows the good thing about it is it allows you to be kind of a different person.
Right.
It brings out a different side of you. It's but the thing is, it's not it's not a totally alien side of you. If you're somebody who's oh my God, I did some acid and I want to jump out a window, you probably thought about jumping out a window before
Yeah.
you did acid.
And you broke up with your girlfriend and were listening to Van Halen's Jump
Right.
over and over again
Right.
a
And-
few hours earlier.
All I would say is that here's the difference. Both sides. I mean, it's not good to get addicted to anything, but when I was stone cold sober, I let Barry Sobel move in with me.
That's
And
very true.
And I listened to all the weird things, all the weird excuses for all of his shitty behavior, and I was like, you know what? Okay, so maybe I'm jumping to conclusions here. And then maybe after a night on the weekend where maybe I was a little coked up, I came back and I was like, this fucking guy has to go. So, the
Cocaine led to the good decision.
I actually heard
Sobriety
today that
led to
Johnny
the terrible
Carson
decision.
was a heavy cocaine user, and that
I
he was
didn't-
best friends with John DeLorean. So you
oh
can
no,
imagine
he had a DeLorean car. He used to always talk about his DeLorean.
But can you imagine the crazy coke parties that a John DeLorean and a Johnny Carson would have?
Andrew, you cannot tell me any story about anybody from the 80s and be like, can you believe that person was on coke? I'm like, yes, of course I can. That's
Do you believe that guy on TV that was unbelievably confident and
yeah.
stammering over his words a lot?
And
worst-
sweaty.
For me,
Well,
the worst stories in the world are those people who someone like Len Bias.
yeah.
He was an athlete who died of a cocaine overdose, and it's not tragic that he died of a cocaine overdose, which is tragic. But the really,
Well, actually, it is.
The death's not tragic, but here's the bad part.
The
No. The fact that he died of a cocaine overdose, that's the funny part. Let me get to the sad part.
one of the piling on sad part is like seeing his mom go around and be like, it was the first time he ever did coke. And I was just like, you know what? Like, all that tells me is you didn't know your son.
Right.
Like, it's like it was 1986. It was
the first time he did that much coke.
Right, yeah, it's like 1986. He went to Maryland. Every investment banker on the Eastern Seaboard had a deviated septum.
Yeah. The vampire bat, one nostril nose. That just became prominent around
And it's just
1985.
like, oh, how tragic! It's the first time he ever did coke,
Yeah.
and then he died.
No,
Like,
that's just the
yeah,
first
I
time his
fucking
dealer
believe
came
that.
over 5 times in one night.
Remember, what was it when Villanova won the national championship? Like
Right.
Ed Pickney said, they were blowing lines at halftime. That's the '80s for you. That's
Right.
the '84.
They had it in the water cooler, it was hot, cold,
Dude, how do
and
you
like
think
cocaine.
Ghostbusters got made?
Yeah, there are stories about there's a book called One Night Stand or something like that about stand-up comedy, and they just have short stories about doing stand-up. And one comic story was in the '80s, you'd go to a club and you'd go into the green room or whatever they had, a closet that they had put a shitty old couch in, and said there would be a giant mirror just piled with blow. And so the comic who wrote that story said, I asked the owner, or the booker, is this someone else's? I don't want to.
This pile,
should we put this
mountain right here? Is this somebody else's,
Yeah.
or can I have a little?
I know.
Should we put this away? Does this belong to somebody? And the guy said, no, you can go ahead and do as much of that as you want. And I said, well, I'm not into coke. Could I get a club sandwich? He says, that'll be $7.
Holy shit.
So this is the '80s.
Right.
We want you to be sweaty and itchy and
like-
jittery, but
Here's your pink vest. And
Yeah.
you're
Who touched
your skinny
Larry
tie.
Clark's fucking club sandwich?
A club sandwich was just code for heroin.
yeah.
Wait, you really wanted a club sandwich? What the hell?
All right, you ready to take a break?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, this is SF Barkast, and we're done with the drug talk.
Oh,
Okay.
can we finally be done with this
We'll
drug
come
talk?
back as adults.
All right.
Heroin's the
do
shit, yo.
We'll do a bunch of drugs and we'll come back.
Right, we're gonna come. Yeah, we're done with the drug talk. We're gonna
Okay.
we're gonna come back and talk about Breaking Bad. All right. All right, and we are back at the Red Jack
Saloon.
in Fisherman's Wharf. What other Fisherman's Wharf bars have we done?
The new Gold
Gold Dust.
yeah.
Lounge,
I kept wanting
yeah.
to say Gold Coast. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
That was sad. The Gold Dust Lounge, because the Gold Dust Lounge, when I was unemployed, that was my favorite 7 a.m. bar.
Oh, okay.
In those days when you need to go to a bar at 7 a.m., the Gold Dust.
You
was
mean
right there.
call those-
around here, right?
No, when it was downtown. It was
On,
still
on-
open.
on-
It was still open when we moved down to Geary Street.
I call
Right.
those days weekdays.
Yes. And they had a bartender at the time who had actually served Hunter S. Thompson back at the Owl
wow.
Creek Lodge in Colorado. And so he had stories, and it was a great way to.
Wait, is that true that they open at 7 a.m.?
They did open at 7 a.m. Yeah.
Wow.
In
God
fact,
bless 'em.
I know for a fact you and I were in there at least once at 7 a.m.
Oh, I
on
think I
one
do
occasion.
remember this now,
Yeah.
vaguely.
With my aunt, yeah, who was
Being
visiting.
delivered with with a garbage truck coming by or whatever.
I've said this before, that any pussy can make it to last call, but if you make it to first call and it's 6 a.m., bam.
You're an American hero.
That-
You should get one of those little pins that they used to give
Yeah.
Giants fans.
They
that
should
they,
make
like,
movies
stuck
out of
My
around
it.
wife
for
was with us too. Yeah, it was quite a night. That was one of those epic. That was Halloween. Yeah, 2
Halloween's
years
coming
ago?
up.
It is.
Where you come up, you gain consciousness on the bar, morning.
What did David Tell call that? It's like you
Time travel.
You pass out in one bar and you wake up
Yeah.
in another one, or as I call it, time travel.
Yes.
So, not only is the government shut down,
Government shutdown.
but but also this was the weekend for the big giant finale of Breaking Bad. So now no one has a reason to live anymore.
Right, exactly. I actually had tickets to Comedy Bang Bang the night of the Breaking Bad finale.
Wow.
And even Ackerman and PFT and Doug Benson came out, and they were all talking about Well, they're like, well, we've already seen it, but like, thank you all for coming out.
Yeah.
What is like tantamount to like this like sort of like nerd.
Nerd Olympics or whatever.
I had the like the 2 weeks prior to that, like for the episode Ozymandias and the penultimate episode,
Right.
I couldn't watch the night of. I either had to do something for money, or I was out doing something.
By the way, when
unfortunate
someone
for money.
says do something for money,
K-sex.
I know what he's talking about.
I was, yeah.
He lives, he lives in the Tenderloin.
Yeah,
He likes
and
to
then
party.
there was one night I had to go. I had to go to bed very early. Regardless, the 2 episodes prior to the finale, I had to go to bed. I was not able to watch it,
All right.
so I had to. Like the first Monday, I went through like Facebook and Twitter. I'm like, I'm not gonna look at it until I can watch the episode.
Right.
And I still had a
Yeah.
friend text me a
Why
spoiler.
would your
Ah.
friend do that?
I don't know.
That is not a friend.
He assumed I had already seen it because,
Right.
and so he texted me, and I was very angry. So the next week, I did not open any texts. I did not read Facebook, and I
No
had to
work
write-
emails, no
yeah,
nothing. Just
nothing. I just took a nap on my desk. Then at the end of the day, I punched my time card, went home, and watched it. But
It's kind of nice because before I went into the Comedy Bang Bang show, I sent a message out on social media, and I said, I'm going dark until I watch Breaking Bad. And then that was it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of liberating. Where you're just like, oh, yeah, I don't have to check my phone.
yeah,
I don't have to see, like, who posted what. I don't want to know what Joe Gorman's doing.
yeah.
as it,
If
as
only
it
more
turns
people
out.
would do that on occasion.
But it's weird because, like, isn't there, like, a 21st century phobia about being disconnected?
But really, what are you
Sure.
missing? Like, what
Oh,
are you
you're not.
actually
That's
missing?
Kitten
via
videos?
tweets?
It's all
They're
about
always gonna be
it's all
there.
about what you're potentially missing
Yeah.
with the internet. I think it's
Yeah.
and this goes back to like didn't
It's FOMO, fear of missing out.
right, but didn't like somebody made the comparison to like the when they saw like Lee Harvey Oswald get killed on national television, they were afraid to turn the channel.
Yeah.
Like ever since then, it was just like
Oh,
holy
yeah.
shit! Like people are getting shot on TV now. I'm watching forever.
Although I kind of feel like we can't like make fun of people who were shocked by watching someone get murdered for real on television. Like,
Pussies.
I mean, like we play a good game with our reality television, but like that was a nationally televised murder that
Right.
There was
everybody
no
watched.
6-second delay at that point.
Right.
Nowadays, where something like that to happen, it would cut to black, or there would be something to actually
is-
see a president shot.
What is
Yeah,
what's the most comparable thing for in our generation?
9/11.
Not
I
probably
suppose.
probably the second plane of 9/11.
Yeah,
Because we didn't know like that was probably live.
yeah.
Or maybe was it the Challenger explosion?
Challenger explosion was close for me because it was right in
The
right in
Columbia
the
was the second one.
like
yeah.
okay.
Challenger was the first one.
Challenger was the first one. That was
Yeah.
what, like 83, 84? Maybe later than that?
85, I believe.
Okay.
This phrase has never been said before, but funny story about the Challenger explosion. So
Did you know that Christina McAuliffe was a teacher?
I was in grade school at the time of the Challenger explosion, and my teachers in my school decided this was a big deal, and they wanted
Right.
all the kids to watch it. And it happened. The launch happened right around our lunchtime, so they put a bunch of TVs
Nice.
into the cafeteria. And the whole thing was, we're going to watch the Challenger. Like, look, anyone can go and be an astronaut. It can
Right.
anyone
Oh, they did
can
the
do
same
it.
thing in my school.
Oh
yeah,
my God,
exactly.
really?
Like
And
they
so
did
all
it
the-
to individual classrooms where
Yeah.
I was too, where like it was just like we were gonna like talk about whatever blah 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 today, but like we're
Let
wheeling
the-
in TVs and we're all
Yeah.
gonna watch like the Challenger take
Let
off.
this be a lesson to all you young minds that you can do anything. Now let's turn the volume up.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the rocket
Oh.
takes off and gets to that tragic point, and then it explodes. And of course, all the kids are like, "What? Is
that supposed to happen?"
And yeah, then random kids, the pussy kids start
Right.
crying,
And
the
the cool kids
teachers-
like me start kicking them in the
yeah,
stomach.
the teachers don't know what to do or what to say, and then they
It's
had to
mass
go,
hysteria. Everybody's
Yeah,
sad.
and it was
Fuck them.
Suddenly the principal's like on the PA, just like extra pizza for lunch
Yeah.
today. If
Here's-
people stop crying.
Well, that was exciting.
Everyone gets more free square terrible pizza.
So hands up, whoever's scarred by that.
So that was my experience with the Challenger.
Yeah, so that's fun. That was a wonderful avenue you brought us down.
Yeah, let's talk about Breaking Bad. I'm
right.
taking control here for some reason.
No, you should.
Hey, you two meandering dipshits. We were supposed to be talking about Breaking Bad 5 minutes ago.
This is part of the show where I start to like slowly get slippy and forget what I'm talking about and just be like, Obama's America.
That's the fun part. Is it's not always a slow slide too. Sometimes it's an instant like.
Yeah, sometimes it's like a black diamond.
I do listen, and it can go one segment where you seem very well put together, and the next segment it's.
I am
it's
not a
off the
racist.
rails.
What are you talking about?
Who you calling a psycho? So Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't see it. No.
I
What is it? And what do you think?
I thought it was fantastic. I love the finale. I've watched it 3 times so far.
Yeah.
I can't in recent great show endings. I don't know of any show that stuck the landing that well as Breaking Bad.
I think 99.9% of shows have pretty much spun out of control by the time they land. Usually, anyway.
Well, I would say the
Dexter is one. Dexter.
I've heard that Dexter's
that
final
finale,
season is hilarious.
Yeah, that finale
Hilarious.
he may as well
hilarious,
become,
terrible. It was
he may as well have become like a tap dancer or open Dexter's Gringo Getaway in Cuba or some.
Right.
Like it was just awful.
I haven't seen 1 second of that show, but I've heard people say that.
coming. But the so finales. One of my favorites of all time was the finale to 6 Feet Under.
That was a good one.
That was pretty amazing.
Hear great things about
also, maybe the MASH finale.
Yeah, I suppose.
Although they cheapened it by making After MASH.
Yes.
Well, so in this scenario, the Bob Odenkirk spinoff will be the cheapening thing to
Yes,
Breaking
exactly.
Bad. It'll be
Yeah,
like,
you know why? Because they'll bring on the birthday boys, and they'll play some fucking like, oh yeah, we're drug dealers, we're wacky drug dealers.
like tie-ins with W. Kamau Bell or something like that. For like
That guy's great though.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, and I certainly hope he's a major part of the Bob Odenkirk.
It's so weird that Bob
Better Call Saul
Odenkirk
spinoff.
is the guy who's going to benefit from
Right.
the
But
show.
It's also
It's great.
great to see him getting that benefit. He's
Oh, of
that-
course,
he's been-
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's that poor kid with MS or whatever. Fuck him. Give it to Odenkirk.
Actually, when I first started watching Breaking Bad, I was obsessed with whether that kid who had MS really had MS.
I thought
was
that
like,
he didn't until about 3 days ago.
he does.
He does.
Yes,
I know.
right.
I know. And that blew me away. Like when I saw him like being interviewed for something, I'm like, oh, holy shit, he actually is like,
Yeah.
Don't you feel
he
like?
actually is a freak.
Don't you feel like?
Like, oh, he is deserving of my shunning.
And the
disgust.
award for worst thing said on the podcast
Goes to
reigning champion.
But yeah, because I was like obsessed with whether he did have MS or didn't. Because if he didn't, even like the really good performances like Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man or Leonardo DiCaprio in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, like when you go back and watch those and you know that they're not like that, you kind of feel like fuck this movie.
Right.
And fuck
like,
that guy for
that guy's doing the same thing I do around my friends to get laughs.
Exactly. I bet he's just acting like he's mentally challenged just to get laid.
Just to get one of those Academy Awards.
But he had R.J. Mitty had some great scenes in Ozymandias, especially when he.
He's strangely absent in the final, but there wasn't much you could do with him.
There's just one shot, but I think his scene in Ozymandias, and also
what's Ozymandias?
It's the third to
third to last
Sumerian
episode.
god.
That's the one where Hank dies, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Spoiler alert. To anyone who just listened to that, that's
to anyone
a
who
spoiler.
listened to like 5 minutes of us talking about Breaking Bad and was like, I should continue to listen.
Yeah.
Traitor Nation.
But it was it was a fantastic show. Loved it.
The only critical thing that I heard that I'm I go back and forth whether I'm on board with was somebody like gave the criticism. They said everything about it is perfect, but it's almost more perfect if something has like sort of like frayed edges to it, like where it just it's a totally unfair criticism, and he totally like admits that, but he's just saying like that it's more fun if something's a little more unraveled rather than just tightly delivered exactly how you want it.
You mean like as far as like the interpretation? Because like you
Well,
saw
there isn't really
a Norm Macdonald thing.
Oh,
where
yeah.
He said that like he felt like the entire end end of like the episode is all like a fantasy scene.
Right.
Which actually, I like that interpretation because if you go back and watch two of my favorite movies,
Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver,
That's one of them.
Taxi Driver, and the
Observe and Report. No.
and
Because that movie does the same thing, and I
Snow-
fucking love that movie. And I will
Snow
defend it to the
Dogs.
death.
Yes.
It's Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings. But Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy.
Okay.
Like,
Right.
there were like endings of that.
It's like a big Scorsese trick then.
It's a Scorsese trick, but
Yeah.
like people, like even Scorsese has said that like he put those endings in because like people like want to see them sort of succeed,
Right.
and like Travis Bickle really wanted to be seen as a hero.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, when Sybil Shepherd gets into his taxi, and she's like totally looking at him with those like eyes, where she's just like, "Oh, you did a great thing." It's like, yeah, like he only put that in there to sort of like because like that's what you want to see.
Right.
But the
Yeah.
the reality is he's probably like dead in a fucking like pimp house somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
That's,
And that's the thing,
So
I
they
mean,
still
'cause
call them pimp houses
Local business.
because I do. And
Well, no, it's funny because I mean
Job creators. That's what I call them.
that's exactly. God
thanks,
bless him.
Hannity.
Well, no, it's funny because with those two movies and actually believe it or not, Observe and Report does the same thing as an homage, where it's
Again
like
with the
there's
Observe and Report.
where there's a certain point where if he goes off his meds, and it's like maybe 45, 50 minutes into the movie. And if you click and if you make the realization that everything after he goes off of his meds is inside his own head, then it becomes a really interesting movie because and that's that was on purpose. But like so I think that Breaking Bad doing that would almost cheapen it, even if it was if it was real, it would cheapen it. If it's an imagined sort of like, okay, I can put a lot of these pieces in place. Then
But it does show an element of sort of like Vince Gilligan knows what he's doing, because he throws that in there. Like,
Right.
It's not. Yeah, it's opaque.
I think it was pretty master storytelling from start to finish, and
Yeah.
I think if it's like 62 episodes of just solid storytelling. There's a few mistakes here and there, but in modern television history,
compared to any other show that's been on in like the last 20 years,
Yeah.
it's crazy how much stuff they got right.
Yeah.
Because something like Lost, that was just a train wreck. I mean, like after the
Oh,
first
yeah.
2 or 3 seasons, it was like a fucking bottle rocket in your hand, like Jedi.
Yeah, about 2/3 of the way through season 2, it just went off the rails completely until they finally set.
And that's a show where, like, basically they made the mistake of saying, "Oh, you know what? The internet knows what's going on. Like, we'll listen to everything that they say, make corrections based on that, and like we'll give the people exactly what they want." And as it turns out, the people are stupid.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about like watching like? One of my favorite things about Breaking Bad was not actually the show itself, but the way that I watched it, because I was late to the game, so I got to watch like all these episodes on Netflix, and I love watching it. I know we're all like talking about it, but if there's anybody out there who
I did that for the
watched
first 3 seasons of it,
Right.
Because like basically I didn't get into it until like
I
season
did the
3.
same thing as it was in season 4.
Right.
I started watching on Netflix, but it was the kind of thing where I thought, well, I'll start watching it now, and it'll be casual. So by the time it gets to the finale, I'll probably be caught up. But it was also the kind of thing where I found myself watching like 4 episodes.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I love that. Like this whole like waiting a week and like forgetting, like you have a whole week to think about like all like the bad shit you've done in your life, and then like then you go back and you watch it an episode. But when I was watching Breaking Bad, catching up, I loved like staying up and being like 4 a.m. I've already watched like 5 episodes, and I'm like, you know what? I can go again.
There's no more coke around. It's just like the hookers have left.
Exactly. Wow, I don't know why anyone doesn't want to hang out with me. I'm just gonna watch another.
You've got 25 cents in your pocket. That's it.
The convenience store doesn't open for the sad burrito for another 30 minutes. Let's watch another.
The sad burrito is very much like the sad trombone.
Yes.
Well,
it goes right in.
Sad burrito's a sex move. I think you paid $20 extra for the sad burrito.
the rusty burrito.
Well, and I think Netflix is, and even Bob Odenkirk and David Cross have said that they wish Mr. Show was on Netflix, that they wish HBO would loosen the reins on some of their properties,
Yeah.
because they think that
Is it HBO who's like not letting?
Yeah, because they have like HBO Go or whatever like that, so they can still make money off of.
Yeah, but I have HBO Go, and when I am searching, I don't see like Mr. Show. Do you want to watch
but they're probably just holding on to it in case
Well, and Bob Odenkirk and David Cross even said, we're not making any money on the DVDs. We're not going to make any money on the streaming. Just put it out there so that people can see
absolutely,
it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's that's an amazing show. Right. And let everyone see it, and then when they go to do their Mr. Show reunion tour in a few months, then they can do bigger venues than what they're.
Well, let me ask
you,
you guys brought up Lost, and I was kind of late to the game on Lost as well, but I have to say that I really liked the sort of ambiguity and how there were a lot of trails that led nowhere, and people were just like, oh, that's fucking bullshit. But I was like. I'm a big fan of David Lynch, and you get that a lot in David Lynch stuff, where it's like, oh yeah, what does that mean? Oh, it's just like a fucking bitch carrying some wood.
But I think that a lot of it depends on how you're perceived by the person watching it too. Where
whatever.
No, I'm like, oh, David Lynch movie, that totally happened.
I loved Lost, and I watched it religiously. There were definitely a lot of loose threads that never got tied up, and they created characters. And then when they finally had a date where they knew they were going to end, then they killed those characters off because we didn't really want those characters to begin with.
Right.
And there was a lot of nonsense, and there was a lot of stuff left on the table. I wasn't completely satisfied by the ending, but
I don't remember the ending.
I wasn't satisfied at all.
Oh, well, I remember the ending. It was like a fucking purgatory thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody online was saying this whole thing is purgatory, and all the writers were
I hope
no,
not.
it's not. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I guess we're gonna go with what the fucking J307 said.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. I mean, they basically sort of handed it over to the idiots in the public. But we should take a break. What do you think?
Yeah, we're totally Todd Glassing this, but you know what? I'm still having a great time.
Me as well.
Andrew's like, great is a big word. All right, so this is SF Barkast. We will be back.
Yes, you cry.
All right, we are back. Yeah, crazy.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. Everything got really quiet back here, so I figured I would bring the mood up a little bit, and I'm bringing the mood up to the two of you because there's nobody else back here.
Or bringing it down if you're the neighbors.
Exactly.
Who the fuck is that? Since when are people excited to be at that place?
We are back at the Red Jack Saloon.
Indeed, on Bay Street and
on Bay Street,
Jones.
Bay and Jones.
Oh, Bay and Jones. Oh, thank you. I feel like if we had that investigative reporting, that sound like da 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 da.
We should have sent out
the I team has come back and figured out that we're at Bay and Jones.
We sent out a prospecting party, and they've come back with the fact that we are on the corner of Jones.
Drew, it's weird that you picked this place because I feel like this is a very sportsy bar, and you are not a sports guy.
I am not a sports guy. This bar very clearly has a sports bent to it, but it was never the predominant thing. They also, I would come here on Sundays, like football Sundays, but they would have hot dogs and chicken wings, and as a fat man, I appreciate that.
You're like, now you're playing to my
now
this is my wheelhouse here.
I don't care who's playing this game, but I do enjoy free hot dogs and chicken wings while I'm drinking alcohol. So that came in handy. But it was also the owners are wonderful people, Mark and Lori. No matter what they say on Yelp, they're fantastic people.
Yes, actually, and we met Lori during one of the breaks, and she is a fantastic, wonderful person.
To me, they very much seem like people that have an idea of what they want their bar to be, and not that they're being dicks about it or anything like that. Like I'm willing to bet that they're being reasonable, but not But then they just don't want it to turn into a bar that's got nothing to do with what they want to run.
I mean, ultimately, it's their bar. They'll do what they want with it, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like having a blog. It's like, hey, you know what? Like,
I think that's what's sort of sorely missing from a lot of the San Francisco bar scene is personality of ownership. Where it's like you're not just doing it to make money. You're not just there to do what the guys at Bon Vivant told you will sell the most drinks. It's like you just have to.
Thank Buddha. Thank Xenu that they're not taking the advice of Bon Vivant.
Because I think some of the best bars to me in the city are places where they just remain the same, or they're they're very indicative of who owns it rather than what's coming in the register.
So going back to you, Drew, about let me ask you, do you, being not a sports fan but a bar fan, do you have a problem being in a bar when like sports is going on?
If it's a big sports event and there's a lot of people and the thing I really dislike is when people in a bar are clapping at a TV screen for something that just happened. Like they can't hear you.
The people on the TV can hear them.
Yeah, they can't hear you. Just enjoy and just give each other a high five, maybe at most.
Right.
But like, oh, good. That's like, why are you clapping?
I think it's more for the benefit of the other people in the bar because they're essentially with their clap saying, "Hey, something I was cheering for happened well for once in my life."
Yeah, it's reaching out for some sort of contact because at this point in my life, all I have is sitting in this bar watching this game. And yay, something good happened, and I'm not going to commit suicide today. That's what it feels like.
Not
to
today.
Me.
Not today, suicide.
Yeah,
It's
tomorrow.
like, hey, counselors and and people in the mental health community, you were wrong about me. This game is going well.
I always felt the same way about movies, where like if you're at a movie, at the end, people start like applauding.
Right.
I'm like those people can't hear you. Right.
Over the bottles or over the movie.
Unless it's like the three of us have all been to Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah.
And when people like applaud there, it's because people who were
that's
sitting
my boss.
there, well, not only is he your boss, but those people did the sound for it.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, okay, it's totally fine to clap there, but if
It's
you're
really
like the
like-
Metreon on like opening night and you just want to let everybody know that you like the movie and you start applauding at the end, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Or when you land on a plane and some people applaud, like this is a Southwest flight. It's one step above a bus in the sky. Why are you applauding?
The most people who do that are like I feel like Christians,
A good one, Jesus.
like heavy Christians, like
Good looking out, Christ.
You ever been on a flight where when they take off, like someone screams, "Thank you, Jesus"?
Really, I've never had that happen.
I've never had that.
I've heard that.
Wow. I
And-
can't. Now I'm gonna start doing that now. I think just for the hell of it.
And my only response to that always is, "Allah is great," which is, strangely enough, not that popular on a plane.
Yeah, oddly
really.
enough, people are not cool about that one. Praise Allah.
Luckily, I'm really into being pistol whipped by marshals. So
Yeah.
like,
Especially if you stand up and go running towards the bathroom in first class. Yeah. Praise Allah. Not cool about it.
Sometimes when I leave the bathroom, I say "Praise Allah" because I'm just like praying to every single god that's out there.
getting through a particularly painful movement, you've been known to shout Allah Akbar a few times.
I've been in the. I don't know. Actually, I'm not even going to go with this joke. you ever start a joke and you're like, nah, it's not
Yeah,
going to work.
just bail.
There's
So-
no way this plane lands.
Figuratively. So I want to let everybody know that we have new flyers for SF Barkast, and they are designed very much like the Chick comics.
Tracks.
With
Chick
tracks?
Tracks.
Chick tracks.
Chick
yeah.
tracks. I thought it was Chick comics.
Well,
Nope,
I mean,
Chick
they are
Tracks.
comics, but they're TRACTS.
Yes.
And for anyone who doesn't know, what is like Chick tracks?
Chick Tracks is it's a religious little set of cartoons which are designed to let you know that unless you follow a very specific religious ideal, you are going to burn in hell.
Yes.
That includes being Catholic, even
Yeah.
a devout
Oh, yeah.
Catholic. You're going to burn in hell.
Oh, they don't like the Catholics.
No. Jewish people, going to hell. If you observe Halloween, going to hell. If you play Dungeons and Dragons, you are going to hell. That is the thing about Chick Tracks, is unless you follow a very, very specific path, you are going to hell, and Chick Tracks will illustrate that for you in a very cartoony
And
fashion.
Satan in Chick Tracks, very Jewish looking.
Yes.
Satan, really?
He's got quite a schnoz.
Right. He's got the little little mustache, big nose over it, red tail. I mean, he's got the whole
the horns,
hooves
just
and
like
everything. But his head is very Semitic.
I think my favorite Chick Tracks comic moment was there was one about a band that got really big because Satan had taken them under their wing, and at one point, like two guys in the band went to Satan and they said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that we love each other. we're gay lovers. and Satan's response was, well, here's a little something for you, some AIDS.
And he literally had it in his hands,
Exactly.
like sprinkled like fairy dust. There you go.
My rider said no AIDS.
It's like,
But the so
they're really good, and in fact, I think it's he got online really fast. I think it's just chick.com.
Yeah.
That the whole website's there, so you can read chick tracks right online rather than have some really desperate, sad person hand them to you on the street, and they're great.
speaking of which, so like our flyers are based on Chick Tracks, and you can see them all over the mission. But I was walking around the mission today, and this like kind old lady was like walking around. She was handing out these little pamphlets about like Jesus, and the problem is that it's all words. There's no cartoons to it. So
who's got time to read that?
Yeah.
Whenever somebody like that I know is handing me something very religious, and they look at me, they make eye contact, and they like reach out and they go to hand me this, I say to them, I'll throw that away for you. And I honestly feel like there's going to be some point in my future where someone is going to be handing out a pamphlet on my right, and on my left is going to be a trash can. And I'm just gonna like make that beautiful moment where I'll like take it from her
Set
and
it on
just
fire.
and just put it in the trash.
Take a lighter, light it on fire, throw it in the trash.
The ones I really love are the Scientologists, because I go in and out of BART to get to work at the Powell Street station, and sometimes they'll have stress tests, which I love that's how they
Right.
use the. That's
Are
how
you
they try to draw-
are you stressed?
Stressed. Why? I happen to
In
be
America?
I
No.
happen to be a working professional in modern 2013. Of
What
course
do I
was
have to
stressed.
be stressed about?
Yeah.
I was just stressed about whether or not there are 747s in space that can take you to another planet.
Yeah, DC-10s that can take me to like the planet Kolar.
Yeah.
Please tell me that's
But
available for me.
they hand you that stuff, and the first couple of times you fall for it and you just take it, and then you're going up the BART escalator and like, wow, this is total nonsense. I don't know how anybody can believe any of this thing about
It takes exactly one escalator ride to
Yeah.
figure out the Scientologist.
But they're so into it. I
think-
give them credit that these people are so desperate for anything to cling to.
I admire your dedication
Yeah.
to it.
I feel like John Travolta is on the longest escalator ride there is because he still like hasn't got to the top where he's like, oh, you know what? This is bullshit, and
This is not
this was a
worth
shitty this was a shitty sci-fi writer.
And
This is not worth it to cover
It's
up
like
my
the Simpsons
homosexuality.
escalator to nowhere. Yeah, he just falls into a giant bed of naked men, and like, oh, this is way better.
Ooh, not well. Yeah, it's exactly. John Travolta would love that.
Till Satan shows up and pring.
AIDS.
Do they believe in Satan in Scientology? Do they
I believe Zeno is the negative figure.
No,
Who
Xenu
could-
is the god.
I thought Zeno was the one who gave everyone, who sent the Thetans to Earth to make us have the negative problems. Where-
Oh. So we're
Now
not.
it makes sense.
Oh, now I have to
Zeno is the
reevaluate the
negative
entire
figure,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, carry the 3. Now,
Oh,
now it all
right.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Jesus
exactly.
Christ.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly, Battlefield Earth doesn't look like a shitty movie.
So, do you have any plugs for this week, or maybe I should ask our guests first? Do you have any shows coming up? Anything you can?
Just check my Tumblr page. If
really.
you just Google
Jesus
Drew
Christ.
Harmon on.
Yeah, right. Enough of that, Drew.
Yeah, but who cares?
Jesus Christ! Stop asking me for my dates. Just go to my website.
I have a plug, but it's going to happen tomorrow, and this is going to drop on Monday. But it's a future
Those
plug
lucky
as well.
listeners with a time machine, stay
He-
tuned.
The first Friday of every month is a bike ride called Bike Party. And just look it up online. It's called SF Bike Party.
What
and
happens at this bike party?
It's actually a lot of fun. Like, I used to kind of hate it because it's kind of like the anti-critical mass where like everybody knows where they're going, so everybody stops at lights.
We're wearing helmets and that kind of shit.
Yeah, they're wearing helmets. But the thing is, like, I've actually come around. I've had like kind of a watershed moment where I'm just like, you know what? I kind of like Bike Party because like my problem.
Getting old, man.
I know exactly. Well, the thing is, like, it wasn't like punk rock enough for me.
Right.
And because I was like, we need to like block traffic and like and be like we make people
Why is
know.
anybody pulling their pants down?
But at Bike Party, like you ride for like a mile, and then everybody stops, and this one dude like plays really loud music, usually Bruno Mars, and everybody dances.
Right.
And it's actually like it's something where we're like, yes, I had the same reaction as you, Drew. Where I was like, ooh, but like after a few times doing it, I'm like, this is a lot of fun, And there's a lot of like nice.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, exactly. Bike Party is the new Scientology, as you say. They will have like they will check your thetans in the back.
You'll be like selling your ass in the Castro in a month, and like and you'll wonder how did this happen? And it's gonna all stem from singing along to Bruno Mars.
Next thing I knew, I was blowing a guy for a grilled cheese sandwich. But so Bike Party happens every first Friday of every month. Just look it up online.
Okay. Well,
what do you have?
I don't know. I was gonna say.
What do you got? Good as that?
I've been catching up on the Heart She Holler on Adult Swim. That's
I
amazing.
heard that's really good.
It's incredible.
The second season's been great. I'm about halfway through. It's really
so for people who don't know, it's a Patton Oswalt show.
It's
It
Patton
is,
Oswalt.
but it's the guys that did Wonder Chosen and
Yes.
was it Xavier, whatever that was.
Wonder
which
Chosen.
is
If people don't know Wonder Chosen, go look up Wonder Chosen and get those DVDs.
Come to my house
those
so
are,
you can borrow the DVDs.
Yeah, those are amazingly subversive. And then the Heart She Holler. The first season was just kind of nonsense. The second season, though,
It's totally fine with me because I said I like David Lynch.
yeah.
Right,
But the second season, there's actually some real storytelling happening, but there's still some really
the
good
episodes
spots.
are still like 12 minutes or something.
Yeah,
like that. So I mean,
it's really
not
short.
it's not a real time commitment at all. So and
I've been watching it on BART on my ride to and
wow.
from work, and so that's been the thing that I'm still
I
the least
pity
weird
the person
people.
standing behind you.
Well, I'm still the least weird person on the train for watching the Heart She Holler.
you're the only one not watching like scat porn or like
Yeah.
Filipino television or something.
Yeah,
Dude, I
damn
actually
Filipinos.
I was on BART recently, and there was a dude who opened up his sketchbook,
Right.
and clearly he was a Academy of Art person, but
Okay.
he was drawing nudes. So maybe
Wait,
he
so on the BART from memory or something, or like
no,
what-
he had like a skin mag on the side.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
On one side of his his booklet, and
Right.
like on the other side he's like drawing these female figures, and I say like clearly he's a Academy of Art student, but
Right.
maybe not. Maybe he's just like a
Maybe
guy
just a
who lives
crazy
in the
creep.
mission.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe he's just an ordinary San Francisco creep with no.
I like to look at
education at all.
hand-drawn sketches of naked ladies while I make my skin suits.
But
exactly.
if-
Artisan drawings.
If you were that person and someone says, "Hey, what are you doing? Like drawing this naked girl?" And you're like, "I'm a fucking artist." You know what? You have to back down.
Yeah.
You'd be like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry, Van Gogh." Like
So you have a gone but not forgotten.
I do have a Gone But Not Forgotten, and it is, I don't even know what it's become, but it is the movie theater that used to be over here. And right
yeah.
now
The
I'm
North Point? Is that what
the
it's?
North Point movie theater. And actually right now, as these words are coming out of my mouth, I realize that was my Gone But Not Forgotten when we went to
the Gold Dust.
the Gold Dust. And
Right.
it's a huge movie theater on North
And they
Point.
still have not done anything with it. In fact, I moved.
It's
to,
massive.
I moved here 6 years ago. It was empty then.
Yeah.
It remains empty now. I'm amazed that there's some of these
That's
places
bananas.
that are still just empty.
what are they going to do with it? I mean,
Yeah.
well, like
Did you,
that,
do you,
the size.
remember a movie that you saw there?
Yes, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I think I
Why
saw
was it called Bram Stoker's Dracula when it was Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula?
Yes.
Well, Bram Stoker wrote the book, though.
That guy's dead.
But that was
Screw him.
around the time then like Frankenstein came out. And it was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. They had to.
Right.
It was like, oh,
I'm glad
this is
Mary
from
Shelley
original.
got the credit.
Yeah.
Like, and she got the
royalties,
the royalty
yeah.
check.
And then the sequel to those two movies was Lee Daniels the Butler, right?
Remember, those were like shitty movies.
They were terrible
Like
movies. Yeah.
Dracula was a shitty movie.
Yeah.
Frankenstein was a shitty movie.
Yes.
Remember
I don't think I even made it
Wolf,
through Frankenstein.
Wolf or Wolfman with
Wolfman,
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Oh yeah,
Shitty
the Wolf,
movie.
Yeah, it was terrible.
You got your Teen Wolf. That was pretty bad.
Teen Wolf 2. That's really good.
That was Was that with
I feel like now-
Jason Bateman instead of Michael J. Fox?
We talk a lot about like the business of Hollywood, and I feel like they
Teen Wolf too.
but like now, like especially with like comic books, they're like searching for like anything that they can like turn into a movie.
Right.
And I feel like because of like the '90s, they fucked up 3 really huge franchises:
Yeah.
Dracula, Frankenstein, and although Frankenstein, what can you do? Like Frankenstein goes to camp.
Meets Abbott and Costello. That's still a rich vein to tap.
Frankenstein goes to the
All the kids
DMV.
today, they love the Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
They can't get enough.
They're all about it.
But look, hey, you know the Mummy, right? They turned that into a franchise.
Yeah.
They
A-
just
a very
they fuck-
stupid, loud franchise, but it was a franchise nonetheless. And you know, even Dario Argento, the Italian director, just
Okay.
released a Dario Argento.
Gesundheit.
You know, he
just-
was married to one of the Judds. No, that's Dario Franchi.
But he just made an Italian movie of Dracula that
Ooh.
just got released in limited release in America, and supposedly that's a total mess, even worse than Francis Ford Coppola's. So it's still ripe for fucking up.
Is it like the Italian porn version of like?
Pretty
Dracula?
much, yeah. It sounds like there's a lot of tits and then
Sweet.
no story.
All right, let's take a break and then we'll come back and talk about the bar.
Oh,
All right, it's SF Barkast. And we are back at the Red Jack Saloon.
Government shutdown edition.
Government shutdown.
Saloon.
Drew, how do you feel about the government shutdown?
I think
Awesome. What do you think? What do you think of this bar?
I enjoy this bar. It's nice to be
You
back.
picked this bar.
I did pick this bar.
Are you a little
You say that
afraid?
accusatorially, like it's your fault we're here. God damn it!
I'm gonna sustained.
I'm gonna allow this.
I'm gonna allow it.
I'll allow it.
Drew, are you a little worried that the last bar you picked got closed down?
I am a little bit. When the idea first came up, I'm like, well, do I throw the Harmon curse at somebody, or do I hope that this is the redemption? Because
I feel like this bar is safe.
yeah,
From-
they've
I was
been
gonna say,
here.
like,
Do your baddest. This
Yeah.
place is going to be here for a long time.
They've already had some legal battles. They've somehow managed to stick it out. They've been here since '93 in their current incarnation with the current owners. So we're talking about 20 years of history, and somehow they keep coming back because they actually have people in the neighborhood who keep coming out again and again and again to come hang out.
It'll be
at
sad
Red
to see
Jack.
them go.
To their to their credit, they did not close up shop and run for the hills when Obama got elected.
That's right. As most of us did.
Obama.
Obama.
Well, I saw Del Taco on Market close the other day, and
Right. gang.
I was also aware of this.
Yeah,
Like that
and
when
like
I worked
all-
in that neighborhood.
yeah, like all things, I blame Obama because
Yeah.
I want a taco and I want fries.
It happened
and
on his
I-
watch.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
So clearly, it's Obama's fault that I can't get a crappy taco and crappy fries at
One
the
of the
same
things
time.
I remember hearing on your podcast is you were talking about the glorious moment when you moved to California
Yes.
and you discovered burritos.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That-
It's a magnificent moment, and for somebody who's lived in California for a long time, you forget that majestic time when you first bite into a super burrito, because it's such a wonderful, amazing thing. And like I still get to see that when my family comes to visit me. Like last year, I had my aunt and uncle, and they brought their kids. And I took them to Taqueria La Cumbre, which has been on Man vs. Food, and is also supposed to be where the Mission style burrito started. But I think it's a solid burrito.
It
And
is.
I took them there, and I ordered for them. I did not let them make choices because I'll handle this. You guys just sit down and give me a couple
4
of
pieces
20s.
of white toast, please. No,
Stand
shut
back, Michigan. I
Yeah.
will. I'll do the ordering here.
And so you see somebody like unwrap that foil for the first time, and they've got that in their hands, and they take that first bite. It just to see their eyes open up, like their life has changed forever.
And then they're
And
like,
when I-
Drew, why are you not wearing pants anymore?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And literally tonight may end with me just in my underwear eating a super burrito on my couch, but it's a glorious, glorious moment when you see, and like when the first time I had a super burrito, and I'm positioning my hands like I'm about to take a giant cock in my mouth, but
Or
that's-
a hit of pot.
or a hit
Yeah,
of
there we
pot.
go. Yeah, it's one way to look at it.
But it's when you realize like, oh, I get to have this a lot. Like I can go have these burritos so many times, and it's like the same thing when
No,
you,
doctor, I said a lot.
Yeah.
Stop saying the opposite.
Stop saying I have to cut down. Like Buster's cheesesteaks, Golden Boy Pizza is only a climb up the hill. Like there's so much amazing food, which is why I don't understand how anybody in San Francisco is skinny, because there's so much amazing food.
I agree with you, but don't you feel like that was the monkey wrench that was thrown into your plan? Remember, like you were saying, you and your wife were like, oh yeah, we're gonna come out here, we're gonna do like yoga, and then you're like, oh, burrito?
Yeah, burrito, marijuana.
Well, let me be the first to say fuck yoga in its face,
Yeah,
then.
everyone drinks everywhere.
Yes, there we go. Well,
there's so many things against you. Like I have more and more respect for people who somehow manage to stay athletic and skinny, because there's so many things against you just living in San Francisco. There's like food and amazing drinks.
I think I've always been like very similar to that, where like if I live in a society where there's really terrible drug abuse going on, I see that as like my challenge is to like I can go all the way up to that guy and not have a problem. And so like as long as I keep it like below that guy over there that's like, you know, shitting in his own pants, like then I got my shit together.
Yeah.
literally. So Andrew, how do you feel about this bar? We spent a lot of time in this bar. This is like one of our longer barcasts, and I think it's mostly because we have Drew here, and like the three of us can go forever.
Yeah.
Much to the dismay of your wife, who's waiting for you at home.
She was here. She had a few drinks, and then she excused herself to go home.
The whole thing's gonna be like this.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
She played as much Candy Crush as her lives would allow, and then she finished her drink and got out of here. But
she like looked at the three of us and was like, "Oh, this shit again? I'll meet you back at the place."
Like, oh,
I'm gonna go home. I got the latest episode of Nashville on the DVR.
Let me know if you guys talk about anything I'd be remotely interested in, which is a pretty good chance that you won't.
So your final analysis, Phil Juanu, Andrew, on the Red Jack Saloon. Go.
Okay. Red Jack Saloon is on Bay Street, and it's a bar. And I like it. It's, you know what? I feel like I've only seen the back of it though. But like, but when I walked through from the front to the back, it seemed like they had a Bruins game on.
Yes.
So they were clearly repping Boston already.
This is what I will say about like we do a little bit of research into the bars that we come to, and like I said, I only read the 1-star reviews and the 4-star reviews on Yelp, and
you search like bar name fuck you in like Google or something.
And I am pleasantly surprised that the 1-star reviews were like grossly over exaggerated. This place is fantastic, and maybe if somebody doesn't accept your fucking Canadian like friends, like Canadian like
if you're traveling
moose driving fucking like license, then fuck your friend.
You don't have a license for that now? Assholes.
If you're going to another country, you should probably have a passport. I'm just saying that seems like something.
I do understand what people were saying. We're like, yeah, well, I got to leave my passport in the hotel because like I can't get back into Albania without it or something.
Right.
But
think about it the other way around. It's like if any one of us went to like Estonia, and you were like, what? You won't take my library card from fucking like Grosse Pointe?
Yeah, I wouldn't go on the internet and complain about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't get killed by militias, so that vacation went well.
So that was all misinformation, and I'm gonna say that I really like this bar. Like I felt like coming here, like with all that in my head, it was gonna be like an uphill battle. But everything about this bar, I love.
I think it's an oasis in an otherwise underrepresented part of town as far as decent bars go.
That's exactly what I hoped both of you would say. That is what I found it to be when I lived here, and I'm enjoying being back here.
And you know the owners here?
I know the owners, yeah.
And they're sweethearts.
They are sweethearts. They are sweethearts, and they have even loaned us movies, including mostly Kiefer Sutherland movies for some reason.
Oh, that's suspicious.
They're like, do you want to borrow Good Will Hunting or The Town?
got all the good movies.
Drew, is there anything that you miss about living in Fisherman's Wharf?
Not really. Our major form of transportation was either the 8X bus or the F line. So either you're with a bunch of tourists or you're on a bus where it's mostly empty until you get to the first Chinatown stop.
What's
and then
the
suddenly,
8X bus?
The 8X bus, it goes up Powell Street, and then it goes through North Beach, and then it takes a right onto Powell through Chinatown. And once you get into Chinatown, it goes from being comfortable to being the least comfortable bus you have ever been on.
It's sort of like the 30 Stockton, but with
Yeah.
with a right turn on Bay instead of going.
It gets swarmed with people, so it becomes very difficult. It was the bus I used to take to when we were doing Annie's together, and then it became the bus when we would come down here to get groceries at the Bay Safeway and Trader Joe's. Then we would take that same bus. Now we go somewhere else because I just got tired of having to fight my way out, because it becomes a matter of I can only say excuse me so many times, and then I'm a big guy. I'm getting out one way or the other, and nobody's
taking
listening
several
to me.
of you with me.
And I just feel like the Rhino or
Right.
or the Juggernaut or in X-Men. Yeah, like I'm getting out one way or the other, and nobody's listening to me. So
I just want to point out that Drew used to be the traffic reporter on Tron.
Yeah.
So, it never leaves him.
it really doesn't. You always think about traffic and where it's going. And last weekend we were trying to go to the Eat Real Festival in Oakland.
The what?
And the Eat Real Festival.
What is that?
Basically a food truck festival.
It's basically a food truck festival at Jack London Square. So we were going to take Bart. So I checked Bart before we left the apartment and found out there was a 40-minute delay. So we thought, well, we'll go get our car because we have a car for some fucking reason in San Francisco.
Rookie mistake, Harmon.
But there was also the Folsom Street Fair. But I thought if I go down Van Ness, I will avoid the traffic from the Folsom Street Fair. And as we get down closer towards where the festival was actually happening, it was gridlock. So it took me an hour and a half to get away from that. So we gave up, parked the car back at the garage once we were able to turn around, and just went to a bar.
It does suck when
Fantastic.
you're stuck in Folsom Street Fair traffic.
Yeah.
You're just like, if I have to see another rusty chain for a G-string,
We should put like a special thing on the Tumblr website of links to Google Maps so you can follow along,
Yeah.
and see exactly where did Drew Harmon and his wife say fuck it and turn around.
That's a great idea. Not going to do that.
Well,
Oh, great.
and also
Yeah,
like
fucking
when,
just ignore my input.
when you're stuck in Folsom Street Fair traffic, you're also watching guys in G strings.
Yeah, so why leave?
And jock straps. Yeah, really, I just put it in park and just this is what I came for.
And your wife is like, hey, Drew, you're like, hey, calm down. I'm concentrating.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out the best route as I watch his smooth ass cheeks walk by.
Less yap, more chaps.
But you get to watch all of them walking towards the thing that is Folsom Street Fair. And we did go once. That was the kind of thing where you've got to go once.
Once is enough.
Yeah, once is enough. Once watching a guy masturbating while another guy beats another guy with a whip is enough.
You don't need that
Don't be such a
re-seared into your
Republican.
head.
Yeah. More power to you, but I don't need to watch it every day.
It's in your nightmares for good now. It doesn't have to be re-implanted.
I don't need to relive it. I've already seen it.
One of my claims to fame is that I went to the very first Folsom Street Fair.
Oh, I think I saw that
way
on the
back
news.
in the day, and it was not like a leather fair. It was like
Let's get together and fuck.
No, it was like an electronic music fair.
Oh, so it's like a love parade or something like that.
Kind of, but it was kind of before ecstasy. So everybody was like, "Hey, do you want some smart drink?" And it was like, "Yeah, let's listen to industrial music and drink this smart drink." And that's what. And there was only 20 people there, and I was one of them.
That's lame. I did go to the superhero street fair a couple of weekends ago, and I was hoping.
Hell's that?
Well, it's advertised as a bunch of people dressed up as superheroes, and it's like a superhero kind of thing. What it turned out to be was
Still not sure why you went.
It was a Burning Man light where people
no.
and they had not one, not two, but 5 DJ areas where guys were spinning beats. And it was so everywhere you walked, you couldn't listen to anything because you couldn't talk or have a conversation. It was just like it's just again and again, and it was just like variations on
But
the
I feel
same
like
shitty beat.
you're burying the lead here. It's like not only were there like beats, but there were people dressed as
Well,
superheroes.
So it was like going
Well,
to
no.
a rave with
There-
Spider-Man.
Right, exactly right. There you go.
There was a guy dressed as a super realistic Nolan era Batman. There was a guy in a great Spider-Man costume. All the women were pretty much like, I am a woman in a bikini. That's my superpower, which is all right. And then there were lots of guys who started to show up who were like, my superpower is I am just wearing boxer briefs. And
Sure.
then eventually that becomes tiring and like, I am going to get out of here.
I'm a sweatpants man.
Yeah, I am the sweatpants guy.
But if that's what you're into, like if you want to see the Green Lantern do the robot,
Yeah.
that would be the fucking fair for you,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
if you want
nothing?
to see Batman,
Christ.
if you want to see Batman,
we all took it seriously. We're like,
yeah,
I like it.
If you want to see Batman rolling on Molly and
And who doesn't?
giving a blowjob in some sort of urinal or whatever.
Where are you
then-
going, masked man?
Yeah, then that is the street fair for you. But
My
I gave
favorite-
up after 90 minutes.
Like my favorite recent headline contained like so many things that I had barely any knowledge of, where it was like a Diplo concert was canceled due to a Molly overdose, and like, but it was like the whole thing was like just written to like piss old people off and be like, yeah, like, what the fuck are they? I don't understand one word of that.
You know, also, there that there are some like older, like not only like old like baby boomers who are like, what the fuck? I have no idea. There's some old hippies who's just like, one overdose? What the? They canceled the
gave
show
up after one?
Jesus Christ! Like I was at Altamont.
Yeah, I was at a Don Henley concert 6 weeks ago, and 3 people died of cocaine, and nobody bothered to shut that one down.
It's like, if somebody used to die at a Rolling Stone show, we just danced around them.
Yeah.
That's like when I was taking the aforementioned 8X up here and like it went up Columbus, and like all I kept seeing was depressing things on Columbus Street because it was like Tosca is closed down, the Condor has like adult rhythm and blues music coming out of it, like the Saloon is always full of assholes. I mean, it was just like it was just like everything that I saw was just kind of like everything's either under construction or like becoming worse. So good night, everybody.
Yeah. North Beach used to be such an amazing neighborhood. I still think that there's so much good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
in
Joe
North Beach.
Tobin lives there.
Yeah, and Joe Tobin's lived there as long
Come
as
for
I-
the
yeah.
restaurant. Stay for the Tobin.
Stay for the Tobin.
Stay for the Tobin.
Have you tried our Tobin dessert?
But I mean, and like I said, a lot of my drinking days started here and ended at the Red Jack. But we would go back up into North Beach, and we had there's so
You need
many
to,
great
do an
bars
afternoon
and
throw up, you
foods.
go up there.
Yeah, and then you come back down as the sun's setting, and you have a few more drinks, and then you go back to the concrete box that we called home for a few years.
Hopefully, you'll be blacked out at that point.
And the sun starts coming up again.
Yeah, and then I went
Oh,
and did
7
the
a.m.
traffic reports, and that's why Kron is the quality that you know today.
That is 100% true.
That
if
is
you
very
need to
true.
go and like see where the I'm done.
We have been going a long time.
All
All right,
right.
you ready to wrap it up?
I think it's about time
I
to
think we got
wrap this
all
up.
of our segments in.
Let's
Oh,
let's put a cherry on this one. I keep taking control. I'm an asshole. I'm
No,
sorry.
not at all. Not
no,
at all.
you should because
But,
like I
we
feel
desperately
like
need it.
I'm leading the league in drunkenness, and I feel like I was like before we started I was like we're just gonna go crazy on this. Now I'm just like
It'll be 4 hours long, and everyone's gonna love it.
I need to go call my mom.
I need a hug. Let's
Mom,
go find people to hug inside
Mom, I'm
this
in the middle
bar.
of doing a podcast, and I just wanted to say I love
I
you.
just fucking lost it. And I just like wanted to say I love you. It's like wrong number.
Dad
I just
never
wanna-
treated you right.
I also just want to give myself credit that Jeff's fingerless gloves have been on the table the entire time, and I have not mentioned them. I don't know why you have fingerless gloves.
Those are for my. That's for like
the-
riding my my bike. And
Hey.
and also
All
for
right.
looking like Rocky when
You don't wanna,
I'm in training.
You don't want to have to take your gloves off when you're going to give a guy a nice massage.
Yeah.
Also, like yeah. I don't
I
have
want to feel his skin on my
even-
fingertips.
I don't have to touch anything right in here.
Yay.
All right, enough of this.
Enough.
All right,
Done.
For Christ's sake, turn it off before it kills us all.
this is SF Barkast. I'm Jeff Cleary.
I am Andrew Louder.
I'm Drew Harmon.
Drew Harmon, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you guys
and
for
thank
having
you
me
for
again.
picking the Red Jack
You know what?
Saloon.
And even if this place doesn't close down, I'm going to say we'll have you back.
Exactly. You know what? You have to you're one behind Drew, Joe Gorman and Kevmo.
I don't know if
Wait,
Kevmo's, most of his appearances don't count because he just sort of showed up halfway through.
Still counts.
I guess you're
Still's a good man.
Sorry, Kevin Montgomery.
We have a lot of fun on these, so I will come back whenever you want.
It is a real chore,
This
isn't
is
it?
the best part of the show, where like nobody's listening. Nobody's made it this long.
Hitler had good ideas.
9/11 was an inside job.
Give him some credit.
Give him some credit.
Joe Gorman
gets
is a
the credit.
ladies' man.
Let's say goodbye.
I got
All right.
nothing.
This is SF
Thanks,
Barkast.
everybody.
We'll see you next time.